You look amazing, all of you. And I see Abby and Gary, Candy, Wendy, Molly G, Renee. Who else is here?
I think everybody's here.
Oh yeah, but Mary couldn't make it.
Mary couldn't make it now.
And Janie is not here. And Michael and Karen Dial doesn't ever show up, does she? I wonder what's going on with her. I know
She's Karen G.
Yes. Oh, you can't see me. I forgot to turn my video on. Oh, here we go. Oh, now you can see me.
Karen.
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to be with us.
Oh, she didn't give me notice. Huh.
She's going through a horrible experience with her son who was hospitalized.
Oh, that's right. She told me about the accident. It's right.
It's serious.
Yeah, I know. So maybe that's why she hasn't reached out. Okay, it's a shame. But, all in divine timing, she can study with us next time. I'll just, I probably do this every year. All right, my friends, let us begin. Just pray with me. We'll do a Om Sahana Vavatu together. Take a deep breath. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bonaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vitvashavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay. So let's say a little prayer for Karen Dowell and her son. I'm asking that Karen Dowell and her son be wrapped in a bubble of light and grace, and that the Divine Mother hold them both in her arms, and let there be peace, healing, understanding, and a harmonious, expedited health, healing, however it is, the highest and best. I don't really know, how serious it is, but I'm asking for them both to be dancing and singing and smiling and happy. Thank you for this. So be it. Okay, so let's mute ourselves. Everyone did. Good. Let's begin with the handout that I sent you. Did you get my emails? I just sent it earlier today, and I had a handout in there. I'm sorry, I'm just coming out of the shower, so my eyes are still kind of dripping wet. Let me just turn this so that the meeting has something that Renee taught me. What was that thing you taught me, Renee? Hold on a second, I'll get this.
Oh, to pin your picture.
Yeah, what was
your recording? I think you just
settings, maybe? No, this chat.
On my computer, it's a right click.
Oh, it's just a right click. Okay.
Yeah, on your face.
Well, on the screen, there's no ability to right click. Well, I guess it's not going to matter. I forget how it was something about priority, right? Anyways, I forget what it was, and it was helpful so that everybody could just see the teacher and not have this like random Vata deranged video screen jumping around on different people. I was really liking that thing you showed me. So we'll practice it another time. Let's talk about the KP summit that I went to. I thought I would share some insights I had, and then I'd like to look at your 10th house career cusp. That's going to be fun and insightful. And the sublord of that on the Krishnamurti phone app that I sent you, just check your emails. I sent you, literally around just before 6 o'clock. I sent you one earlier, like an hour ago, and another one at 6 o'clock that has the iPhone screenshot that you can look at the KP, the Krishnamurti settings for the 10th house options. It's very, very interesting. They use the sublords for prediction. So we use, planets, houses, and nakshatras. They go a step deeper to the finer layer, the subtle layer, where they go into the sublords and star lords of the cusps. And it's like a very different type of astrology. And I'm not 100% convinced it's the only way, because there's many paths up the mountain, and I found a lot of similarities between that and when I was studying with David Hawthorne's systems approach, because they use sort of a most effective point system where they use the ascendant as the most effective point that governs the degrees in every house. And that's not traditional Jyotish. The ascendant is just the ascendant. It's, whatever degree it is, and then each house has its own degree, and as long as all of the 30 degrees are in each house, then that's how we do standard classic Jyotish. This did something a little different, where the cusps of the houses were different based on the ascendant. So without confusing you too much about the details, it's not that important. I figured I would just explain to you what the whole thing is. What is Krishnamurti? What is this KP astrology? And what was this week I spent with Simon, and Andy Miller was there, one of my students from the massage school and the Ayurvedic school. Anyways, I valued it because I have studied bodywork for so long, and even right down to homeopathy and flower essence and energy medicine. This was sort of like that, where instead of taking the dense form of the graha or the dense form of the house, they were looking at the subtle aspects. And we all know that the subtle aspects of all energy medicine and oracles and metaphysics are going to be the most potent. So, like Reiki is, on an energy level, more potent than a dense massage. Not that one is better than the other, but you can do it from your house and do it distance. So we know that it's working in the quantum field through the quantum levels, and this felt like it was quantum astrology, but he didn't call it that. It felt like it was, like instead of eating the flower, it was the essence of the flower, or, giving the herb. It's like, Gowrie knows homeopathy. It's the essence. It's the smallest dose of that herb, or the whatever it is that you're trying to. Gowrie could explain it better, but say if you're trying to reduce something, it'll give you more of that at the very smallest level, so your immune system has a chance to build immunity to it. So it's all based on teeny little microscopic pieces, which is what this KP astrology was. It just reduced everything down from the graha to the bhava to the star lord to the sublord. Then we look at the sublord of the sublord in some cases, and I have to say, there was a lot of accuracy. So, I with the skeptical eye, I was looking, is there any accuracy on this? Is this worth really diving into? And there was. So it wasn't an easy system to learn. It may have been because there was a cultural barrier between him and I, or him and the students, because he has that Indian, even though he had a good voice and not much accent, there was this cultural thing that I just, he would sort of say things, and I'm scribbling down the notes, and it wasn't what he meant, but I would have to, use my American brain to discern what Indians mean. Anyway, so there was that little language barrier, and that I'm still not totally over. I'm not sure that I grasped it completely because of that. He's a professor, he's a doctor, and he's fourth generation of Krishnamurti. So he is in the lineage, he's a fourth generational Jyotishi, pretty amazing. And I want to show you one of the remedies that he gave me. It acts like a machine, and it's called a yantram. And I have it by my bed, and I ignite it every night with either incense or essential oil, and by tracing with Vishnu mudra, tracing the Om sign over the yantram and repeating Om silently, like that, maybe a few times, and yet maybe have done it 10 times. And there's these rituals where you just are not to look away from the yantram. When you're doing it, you're to look right and gaze at the yantram. So the drishti actually activates the yantram. And it's the one that he gave me. It was $120, pure copper. And I want to show it to you because he did rub it with red sandalwood. And then he made an Om in the middle of it. that I've been in the air tracing it, and it removes all curses. So it's an all curse remover yantram. And I was skeptical about this because I'm like, what can all these numbers and all these, I'll show you the art on it, this, deities and all kinds of sacred geometry, and some of this I had no idea. It's just like a bunch of magic posted on this thing about that big. And I figured, you know what, let's just go for all curses. There was one for this curse and one for that curse and one for, I'm like, okay, any curse and all curse, let's just get rid of it. So I did find that I have the mother curse in my chart. So that was one of my main motivating reasons to buy a yantram and keep it with me. Right over my head as I'm sleeping. So its energy just gazes right down on me because I have bookshelves in the back of my head on my bed. And the yantram is literally right here. So it affects my whole physiology as I'm sleeping. The vibrations, it changes my grid, my auric grid. That's what they say. So I want to show you, just as an aside, what, for example, a mother's curse would look like. It's Saturn aspecting the moon, or moon in the house that Saturn owns, or an affliction to the fourth house, or fifth house, ninth house story. So the fifth house is past life, and the ninth house is what we bring to our next life. So if there's anything going on there, where you come back from a past life where we may have done something to a mother figure or our own mother, and then what we will do if our karma is mitigated in the fifth house in the next life. So I thought that was really interesting. And he explained how these curses are put on. And, here I am thinking, I don't believe in voodoo. I just don't believe in, there's a lot of things I don't believe in. There's a lot of things I do. I believe in fairies and unicorns, but there's also this part of me that's very practical. Like, so who has the right to put a curse on me, right? How dare they? And aren't I a more powerful being, powerful enough to not receive a curse, to be able to mitigate that? I mean, how can just somebody do that? Not that I don't doubt that someone would try, because there are mean people in the world. And that took me a while to figure out that there really are that many mean people that would want to curse you. But how did they have the power? Like, do they have to go to school for that? That was my question. Is this like some black magic voodoo that they have to graduate from, and that I have curse credentials? I really have no idea how I had no idea. And now he's explaining it, which makes sense. It's actually your activities. So somebody in, maybe fifth generation, who knows, fourth generation in my family tree, mother-daughter, somebody hurt their mother. Somebody did something very unkind to a mother, and that was never resolved or forgiven. And then just that act of unkindness to a mother goes into each of our charts, right down. It keeps going until somebody breaks the curse. And that can be through yantram, but it can also be through kindness and enlightenment and transcending your chart and being well aware of what you're facing. You're facing the curses of all these past ancestral activities and the pain that each mother and daughter has experienced in these generations. So it was a big deal for me to think, okay, I'm going to take this on. I have no idea who did what to who, but it affected me, and I don't want it to affect my granddaughter. So let me stop the pain now, and let me see how I can act with kindness to my mother and act with kindness to my daughter, and keep forgiving, and be that sort of Buddha that, not to be a rug, there's a difference, but to be that unconditionally loving mother that we all yearn to be, to actually be it and embrace it, embody it. That can break the curse. But I figured I'm going to get a yantram just in case, because this seems bigger than thou. It seems like, and the moon came in as my yogi, my Alva yogi planet, and it's like this. It feels like it was destiny that I was to take this on. It's so big. So, you know what? I can do this. And if any of you have the mother curse, you can do this. We can stop it now and let there be kindness, love, and forgiveness between mothers and daughters forever and ever. Amen. So let me show you my all curse yantram, and I can give you the email for Dr. Duda. Dr. Duda, what a name. And you can get an all curse removal yantram as well. And it doesn't take me long. Every night they want it to be a routine. So just before I go to bed, you know, you can do it in the morning, whatever it is, a routine, so it's structured. You do, you know, you ignite the yantram in gratitude with Vishnu Mudra, and it takes me literally 5 minutes, and I gaze with love into the yantra in gratitude to its beauty. It is beautiful, and it smells amazing because he put sandalwood all over it, so I smell that while I'm sleeping. And gratitude for the knowledge that I received this information, that there was an actual curse. And I found something very interesting. There's only one picture of my great-grandmother Rose, and I saw it, and she has a mole on her left cheek, and it's a big one. I thought it was a bug or something in the picture because it was old and scratchy. I'm like, could that just be, you know, an imperfection from, you know, old camera and old picture? Or is that a mole I'm seeing? And I asked my grandmother, and it is a mole on her left cheek. And Dr. Duda said a mole on anyone's left cheek is indication of curse, because the left cheek represents the 12th house, and that's where curses begin, in the 12th house. I thought that was really interesting that my grandmother Rose had it. I'm not sure if she was the one that started the curse or if she was the next in line and the generation before her had that, but that's interesting for everyone to look at in their chart. And then I'm gonna open it up to see if anybody else has mother curse in their chart before. Let me get this yantra though, let me get
it. Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Did anybody get the list that Karen G gave of like Saturn aspecting the moon, 5th house?
Oh, I got it. Yeah, do you want me to repeat it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Saturn aspecting the moon. We have the moon in this house that Saturn owns. We have affliction to the 4th house
moon in house
that Saturn owns.
Okay.
And then we have affliction to the 4th house. And then the last one is some sort of 5th, 9th story. So something that's like off with the 5th or 9th house.
Excellent. Thank you.
Can you repeat that again? I'm sorry. I was emailing.
Oh, sure. No worries. Okay, so we've got Saturn aspecting the moon. We have the moon in a house that Saturn owns. We have an affliction to the 4th house. And then the last one is a 5th, 9th story. So I think something sort of off with the 5th or 9th house.
And you have moon and Saturn.
I have them conjunct. Yes, I'm going to talk about that after. I'm curious if I have one of these mother curses.
All right, let's look at this. Moon and Saturn conjunct. I'd have to look at it. What house is it in?
In the 5th house with Rahu.
Oh, okay, yeah. That is
right.
Came in with
Yeah. I had a feeling.
You have it. There's somebody that did something unkind years ago, generations ago, and it just comes through. That 5th house is past life. So maybe you were the mother and she was the daughter or whatever it is. I don't know. Okay, so it's funny though, because she loves you so much, and I know, you know, that, and I know Abby's mom, and you have this great relationship, but I'm wondering if it's just something underneath that was unresolved.
Well, so without going off too much, her mother was quite a complicated figure. She was extremely eccentric and, you know, extremely smart, but also was like institutionalized for some psychological issues. And they had a very difficult relationship. And my mother's brother committed suicide, and she never really my mother's mother never really recovered from it. So there's a lot of stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff with mother, and my dad had a complicated relationship with his mother. So yeah, I could see it. It might not be me and my mom. It might be sort of other people in my life is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing too. And you can ask your sisters. You can look at your sisters' charts, and they'll probably show something about Saturn and Moon, since you have it as well. It's in the siblings.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? So there's so much of this. I have clients that come to me with mother-daughter stuff, and I just never knew what to say to them. And now I feel like I have something to say. Oh, so here is the yantram. Can you all see it? Yeah, it's got all these trying to leave it there for a minute because it's so intricate. There's a big Om in the middle. There's a big Om sign, and then there's an Om. He drew the Om. You see the red sandalwood. There's a little, it looks like a 3, but it's an Om sign. And there's all kinds of numbers and charts in little sections, like little sections of divisionals of deities and snakes, and oh my God, it looks creepy. But it's really pretty because it's shiny and copper, and I like looking at all the different, it's like art, but I don't know, it's like cryptic, it's like magic and cryptical. So you probably can't smell it from there, but I can. So it's really good smelling yantram. It's sandalwood, it's red sandalwood. Okay, so then I found this black stone that was given to me, and it was an Indian woman, Dr. Munira. I don't know if any of you remember Dr. Munira, who came to the Yogaville ashram. She got it from the Ganges, and it was blessed by a tantric in India, and Dr. Duda said this is the black stone from the Ganges that wards off evil spirits. So I love that, right? And evil spirits can be, just even like attachments, curious little attachments. Like there was a guy that came in yesterday for an Ayurvedic consultation, and I feel he had an attachment on him. He was oily. He had oily quality, and he had oily eyes, and he had, debilitated Venus and some serious Kuja dosha stuff. And he had a pornography addiction. And we're going off on a tangent, but there was moments during the consultation where I saw his eyes go like this to me. Like it was an angle, and he was like peeking through. It was just like sometimes people's faces shift, and it wasn't his face for a minute, it was another face. And I'm like, whoa, who's talking to me? I don't know you. That just a moment of just like disconnect and a little freaky heebie-jeebie thing where I'm like, hey, this is my house. I'm wondering if this thing is going to jump off of him and follow me upstairs, right? So anyways, I hope you don't think I'm a freak, because I don't think about that all the time. I'm not consumed by evil spirits. I'm not a fanatic. I don't usually see them, especially clients. I don't have this happen all the time, but this guy, there's something, he's got an attachment. So I grabbed my black stone right away, and I slept with it last night because I felt something. I felt not right, and I still feel like there could be something I need to clear in my house from him. But anyways, if you ever want this black stone, we have to reach out to Dr. Munira and find out where she got this from the Ganges, and how we could all get one, because we're all healers. And these entities that are attachments are like moths to a flame. They're very curious about our light, because we're here to bring more light. It's Jyoti, the science of light. We're light workers. We're light bringers of light. And that puts us in a more vulnerable position, because these little creatures don't want our light to be so bright. And they're also attracted to it. They want to check it out. And I don't want anyone checking me out. And I don't want any, I want to be protected, and I know you all do. Okay, so enough of that. I also want to show you that I bought this amazing, I think remedial measures are important to talk about in Jyotish, because it gives people hope. Can you see my hessonite? This is for a Rahu. So I was told by Dr. Duda that I needed a hessonite between 4 to 5 carats. So I contacted Jay Boyle, who I gave many Shirodara treatments to when I lived in Fairfield, and he sent me this hessonite that arrived yesterday. I don't know if, can everybody see my little, it's called the cushion cut, and it's like a fancy version of a ruby, and it's going to touch my skin, so you can see it's not really pointed. It's a little bit of a point, but not so pointed that it can't touch my skin. So I'm placing it on my middle finger so it touches my skin. I'm going to get a setting tomorrow, hopefully. This was only $600 for the hessonite, where I saw other hessonites were in the thousands. So it's a crazy amount of money, but I will explain to you why I decided to go crazy on hessonite, because it's not like me to go buy things like this. But he looked, and this is something that you should learn. So the first house marriage is governed by the 7th house cusp lord. The second marriage is governed by the 9th house cusp lord, and the third marriage is governed by the 11th house cusp lord. And then if you do another, hope to God you don't have to do a 4th marriage, but that's the 1st house cusp lord. So anyone looking to get married for a 2nd, 3rd, or 4th time would look at these house cusp lords and see the strength, and do they activate the marriage houses? So for example, marriage houses would be 2 and 7, and 11 brings actually more than just marriage, it brings divine marriage. So there are houses that mitigate marriage, like the 6th house is a total mitigation. And the 8th house is kind of metza, can bring great sex, but not the kind of marriage we're all looking for with tenacity. And then there was something else, the 3rd house mitigates it, not so good. So they look at houses like that. So with him looking at me for my 3rd marriage potential, I said, I'd like to get married again. Can you see what my 11th house cusp lord is, and what are the chances? And he looked at my 11th house cusp lord, and it was horrifying. There was no chance except for one. And it was this measly little Rahuvian chance. So I just hit my Rahu Bhukti, and my Rahu Bhukti is 2.5 years, and then I go into Saturn Mahadasha for the rest of my life probably. And in my Saturn Mahadasha, 0%. I will be a spinster. There's just no doubt. So it was really depressing for me to see my Saturn Mahadasha have no hope. So I thought, well, you know what? I have 2.5 years to find a husband, and Rahu is going to bring me one. So why not make Rahu really happy? So there's things he said to do, and I will explain to you some things. Maybe you could write these down, and if you ever have someone who only has Rahu for a chance, you can tell them to do these rituals. Hessonite, right? Okay. And this is not just for marriage, but this is for anybody that wants to propitiate Rahu. You go to a zoo. This is crazy, but I think it actually may have something. I'm open. You have to get the mud from underneath an elephant's foot, all 4 feet. Yes, you have to take a little teaspoon and collect the mud and put it in a little bag under all 4 feet somehow, where the elephant was standing is auspicious ground. That's for Rahu. Now you've got this bag of Rahuvian mud. Then what do? Then you go find a well, a dried up well, and it's deep. So you can't see to the bottom. And this is Rahu, and this is Ketu. Ketu, you can't see, it has no eyes. Ketu is the tail. So the dried up well represents the tail of the dragon, the deep tail of the dragon. And then you empty the mud, the Rahuvian mud, into this well until it, falls to the bottom, hopefully. And in that, it's almost like a reuniting of the head and the tail of the serpent. And it will propitiate and soften all of your karmic challenges because the nodes are pure karma. So I am going to Roger Williams State Park Zoo. And I am going with my Jyotish friend Christy, and she was there. She wants to do it with me because she's in a K2 right now, Mahadasha, and she just went in like last month, and her life has just gone upside down. And so she's all for fixing her nodes because she's got K2 for the next whatever it is, 10 years. I forget how long. K2 6 years? I forget. So she and I are going to meet the elephants, and then we're on a mission. I'm on the mission. My job is to find the well, and I'm going to have to Google that pretty soon. She's coming in August, so we're going to do a Rahu K2 adventure together. So that's my story about Rahu and K2 and how to propitiate them and the rituals that they do in India. And then the other thing that was a really interesting ritual, because we don't hear about these things, so I want to share the things with you that were so unique that you just, I don't know where other than India that people think these things up, or maybe they don't think them up and it was all divine downloads from higher beings. But the next one I did already, I did it last night, and it was an old lock. So anybody that wants to find a husband, if you're single and you've had trouble and no luck in relationship, and I get a lot of people that come to me for readings asking me, when is their new love coming? Will they ever get married? I get that all the time. So I gave this ritual last night or yesterday to somebody at the Power of Juice, and she's all excited to do this ritual. I did it, but I didn't tell her I did it because it's private, but I'm telling you I did it. So what I did was follow Dr. Duda's advice. I took an old lock. I had an old padlock, and it doesn't have to be yours. It can be anybody's, but it has to be an old lock, not a new lock. And it needs to be metal. So the metal represents Saturn and propitiates Saturn. Saturn's all about metal. So on a Saturn day, which was yesterday, Saturday, in the evening, which is the height of Saturn day, because Saturn is all about the night and dark colors, you go to, you put the lock all over your body, you just rub it. So I did this lock thing all over my face, ears, all the way down with my clothes on, of course, and all under the bottoms of my feet, sides of my arms, hands, my backside the best I could get. And I put my energy, my karmas, relationship karmas, into the metal. Then I turned on YouTube. I could have done it myself. Om Shani Shwaraya Namaha. 108 times. Molly loves that one. Yes, that's your favorite mantra. So I had that going 108 times. As I walked, holding the lock to find a crossroads. So I found a crossroads. And it has to be a four-way crossroads. And I wanted it to be significant because there's many crossroads in the world. So I chose a significant crossroads in Newport that I could walk to, because I'd like to find a husband that I could walk to. I was going to drive to Paradise Avenue because it was paradise, and I'm like, well, I want paradise, but I don't want to drive to Paradise. I didn't want to get in my car, and it was kind of out in the woods. And anyway, so I found Rhode Island Avenue and Old Beach Road seemed to be the perfect crossroads for me. It wasn't too dark, it wasn't too light, and I want somebody who lives in Rhode Island and who loves beaches like me. So it felt like my crossroads. So the part of this ritual have these little nuances where you take the lock with your Om Shani Shwaraya Namaha, Om Shani Shwaraya Namaha, Om Shani Shwaraya Namaha, over and over, 108 times. I had this in my ear with YouTube, the YouTube station, a really lovely Indian woman's voice. And I dropped the lock, consciously put it in the middle of the crossroads at the four-way intersection on the road. It was a small lock, about that big. And you're not to look at it. You're to put it down and to turn around immediately and never look back. Okay, so I'm going to share something, I confess. I looked back. I did. I looked back. I couldn't believe I looked back. I was so upset. So I have to email Dr. Duda, because part of me thought, oh my God, someone's going to run over the lock and get hurt, or they'll blast their tire out, or something's going to, this is not a good thing. And I started to get worried about where it was on the road. And then I looked and I thought, oh my God, I wasn't supposed to look. And I went back and I thought, okay, I'm going to do this again. I get a second chance, please, God. So I put the lock back down in a better spot in the middle of the road, and I didn't look back this time. I swear to God, I looked straight ahead. So I'm wondering if what's going to happen as a result, I might meet like a wannabe husband, and he's not the one. And then it's the next one. The next one is the real deal. I'm guessing because I screwed up the first time. So hopefully that it will unfold, that this will work. But I'm going to ask Dr. Duda if I have to start all over again with a new lock or an old lock, but start the whole thing from the top and find another crossroads. But hopefully he says it's okay, because I did it right the very last time. I did not look back. Consciously, I'm like, okay, I'm not looking back. No matter how much I am tempted, I'm walking straight ahead. And that was my ritual last night. So that's my story. Anyone have any questions? I see a whole bunch of chats going on here. Oh my gosh, I have like 3 moles on my left cheek. Oh, who is this? Oh, Molly. Oh no. Time medicine, more quickly better. Oh yeah. Okay. I don't know. I never saw those moles on your cheek. I'm talking a big black mole. Oh yeah. Little. Yeah, I see them. That's your left cheek? Okay. So we need to get you the we need to get you one of these, Molly G. And I'll curse Yantram. I'll send you the link where you can buy it.
Karen, I have a question. This is Renee.
Yes, Renee.
I was writing, I missed the middle part. So after you rub the lock on you,
Yeah.
And you chant, do you sleep with it like under the bed? What do you do with it?
No, you missed the best part. You put it in the middle of the intersection. You leave it there.
Okay, so you don't keep it in the house. You do that and then you take it away.
Yeah, so I did it all. It took me like 15 or 20 minutes to get the whole thing done. So I did I actually chanted Om Shani Shvaraya Namaha while I rubbed it all over my body and let the metal absorb my astral karmas around romance. And then that lock embodied it, right? And I walked right out my door. Om Shani Shvaraya Namaha in my ear, and I was chanting it silently. If anyone was watching me, thought I was probably crazy, but I don't care. I was singing, whatever. And it was twilight to dark. So it was definitely Saturn time of night, and I just went straight down my street, and I just asked for divine guidance of which crossroad will I pick, and I liked Old Beach Road and Rhode Island Avenue, because I really don't want a long distance relationship, because I do have Venus in Sagittarius, which Jupiter will take me overseas, and I've had these long distance things, and yeah, so I just put it right in the middle of the road, and you're just not supposed to turn around and look back. Does that answer your question, Renee G?
Yes, I thought I missed a part, but I couldn't do it because I would look. There's no way that I could leave it.
See, you didn't. You see, that's what I did. I thought about somebody's tire, and I got all nervous. Well, wait, maybe I could move it over just a little so somebody wouldn't run that over and get hurt there. Oh my God. And then I just had to be okay with I didn't look back. So it is what it is. You know, you just have to really, if you believe in it, you have to do it whatever. And bless it and protect the car, any cars driving over it, you know? So, okay, what am I looking at? Debilitated Venus, make me turn the light, geez. Oh, why is your Venus debilitated? You think is your Venus debilitated, Molly?
Sorry, you were telling this creepy true story, and I had to turn my light on because you freaked me out. My Venus is fine.
Wait, which part freaked you out?
The guy looking at you, and all of a sudden it was another thing looking at you. That's really creepy. I'm gonna have nightmares. What do I do in class?
I'm sorry, Molly.
No, it's okay. I gotta grow up.
I know, you probably see stuff like that too. It wasn't like it was something that I could have just articulated to you a separate face. It was just this, you know, like I don't know, hard to explain. You know, nobody usually looks at you like that, so that was odd for me. Like they usually look at me directly, like this, with wide eyes. and they're talking to me, but this was like, you know, anyways, don't think about it, Molly. Just, I'm sending you prayers and protection and love. You are so protected. Don't, angels are with you. Archangel Michael is with you, protecting you. Okay.
Can I share something just really quickly?
Yes.
So you mentioned to look at my sister's chart, and I did. And guess what? My sister also has Saturn and Moon conjunct, and my mom has Saturn aspecting the Moon. So there you go.
God.
It's so crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's insane. I was like, oh, I don't know, because I looked at their charts before, but then I looked and like it was right on what you said. So.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing. It's amazing discoveries that we can find in our family. My sister had wait, where's Amy's? I have to look at my other sister's chart. But my daughter and my mother and I haven't checked my grandmother's chart, but I was going to ask if she would give me her birth time. Okay, so yeah, it's good to check everybody. What rhinoplasty fixes the nose, Rahu fixes Molly, you're joking. You're so funny. You should video it. That would be awesome. Video what? Video doing the Saturn mantra?
Video your thingy that you were doing, the ritual.
Scooping up the mud.
Yeah.
Oh, scooping up the mud at the park? Yeah, why don't I have Christy's son? He'll be there. I'll have Christy's son video taping me scooping up Rahuvian mud under an elephant's foot.
I can guarantee you that's something that people want to do.
Are you joking me?
No, I could totally see people doing that.
Okay, you know, it's most bizarre. But the nodes are bizarre, so of course there would be some bizarre thing you're going to do. But it does make sense to merge them. You know, mud, Rahu is mud, and then all of it is symbolic, and it appealed to my logical mind. So yes, and I'll send it to everybody if you want. Yeah, and even find the well, and I'll take a picture of the well that we find. Okay, who else? Let's see, video it, totally look. I'm reading your chats here. Molly, what is that mantra used for? Oh, that's Om Shani Shwaraya Namaha is to make Saturn smile down upon you, to make him your friend. I activated Saturn. I was bringing its energy in so that it ignited my ritual even more deeply. Okay, Candy. Molly, what can the mantra? The mantra can be used for just Saturn. I hope that answered your question, Candy. Shani. Oh, thank you for writing it out. I love Saturn so much. We got to keep track of our Venuses, girls. What do you? I don't get that. Why are you saying that?
Because every time you say Venus, I know you're saying Venus, but it is not what's coming in my head. So when you've got a debilitated Venus, all I can think of is erectile dysfunction. So I'm telling us that we have to keep track of our Venuses.
I get it. That's really cute. Yeah, it is a little too close to that word, isn't it? You know, and what about the exalted Venus? Hey, we'll take that over the debilitated Venus. I have met men who've had exalted Venuses, and no kidding. It is very clear, no question, that is one way to before you actually sleep with a man, you can tell by looking at their Venus. Oh, sorry, I'm telling tales out of school. This is a girl's secret. Okay, so let's move on. What was I going to share with you? What other thing? The Rahu, the Saturn, the Yantram, the rituals. Oh yeah, learning about the marriages. Sorry, what'd you say?
The 10th house sublord, the thing you sent us?
Yeah, we were going to do that. The careers. So they're the sublords. that indicate which is your best career. So this is what he gave us in class, and I have scribble notes all over it, but it goes on and on with all the nakshatras, and it is based on not, like I would have just gone right to my 10th house and looked at that nakshatra, which is Dhanishta, and I would have gone to Dhanishta. And I bet you can get information that way as well, but he went to the most subtle layer, which is our deepest core. And I wrote in the email to you the steps you take to find your most subtle layer, which is your sublord that describes which nakshatra is your career indicator. So if you all open your email and see those steps, and then get your phone out and open that, I knew astrology software, and I sent this picture to you all. I don't know if you can see it because it's so bright, but probably can't see it. But I have the picture screenshot in an email to you, and this is a free, it maybe had been $9, I forget. Just tell me if everybody, if you don't have this app, do you have Parash's Light? I know Gauriji, you have it. Does anyone not have a way to see Krishna, the KP thing, so that you can find sublords? Because this is how you can do it for $9. I think it could have been free, actually. Who doesn't have it? Anybody? Adi, you have that phone app? Oh, good. Okay, Candy and Wendy. Okay, and Molly, do you have Parash's Light? The phone app. You got the app? Good. Okay, good. Okay, so let's do it. This is going to be fun, and I'd like to, and then there's one other thing I meant to tell you that really blew my mind, and I didn't put it in the email, but I've been playing with it ever since, is you can go into Parash's Light and click on elements, or preponderance of elements, or something like that, predominant elements. And in that, it shows you these graphs of the 4 elements, not 5. It doesn't give you ether. It just gives you earth, fire, water, air. And it shows you how much. It's basically your Prakruti. I mean, it was amazing. It was so accurate when I did mine. And then I've been doing clients, and I had a girl yesterday come to the Power of Juice. And, sometimes we doubt ourselves on the pulse. And she had her accurate birth time of day. And I was looking at her planets and which doshas her planets were in, and what was her in the Lord of her chart, and, all the traditional way of finding Prakruti. And I thought, you know what, that pulse is a double dosha. She's a Kapha 3, Pitta 3, Vata 1. I knew it in her pulse. I felt it. And then when I did this elemental thing, I have to say, I was spot on, and I felt so good. I felt like, oh my God, I've arrived. Because it wasn't even like this, like the charts weren't even like that. They were fire and earth, like that. That's how much she was a double dosha, dual dosha. And then she had like air down here, and then she had some water in the middle. The water came in the middle because it is pitta and kapha. We have to have water, but the fire and the earth, where she was a dual dosha. And I could show you her chart actually, and I should just do that now, just while I'm remembering it. Am I having an ADD attack? And I should just I think you all should know this is actually more exciting than our 10th house. Let's just face it. So I'm going to share my screen and show you. Okay, so this girl, this double dosha girl. So this is the fire and earth elements, predominant elements, and a little bit of air, a little bit of water. But I'm going to change this quick because I'm not respecting her privacy. I don't want her name out there. Okay, you've got my name. Okay, let's do mine. And hopefully you weren't looking at her name. With just split second on the screen. And you probably don't even know her. But I'm going to pull up the where you find this. You all should have this. This is like all practitioners, Ayurvedic practitioners, counselors should be able to use this. Okay, so there it is. This is me. Check it out. If there's anyone that could spontaneously combust, I'm your girl. I am on fire. Check that out. That is Kapha to Pitta 3, Vata 1. I have a lot of Pitta, a lot of hot water, and just a bit of earth, but a very watery kind of girl. So when I do a diuretic, I lose 10 pounds immediately. So mostly I'm carrying water. With moon in my first house, I'm just watery. But that fire is scary. That doesn't get much higher, does it? So I have to get on a pitta soothing diet and stay on it. And I always knew that, but isn't this a great affirmation to actually see seriously how many points you have in each, or it's not points, but how high your chart is for each of the elements. So if you have this, Gary, you should be playing with it.
I can't. How did you get to that?
Okay, so you go to this section here. Oh, wait. Click on the chart. Click on any little tiny chart like this.
I have mine in front of me.
Oh, did you find it?
So where did you go? To tables? I don't have that here.
Yeah, tables, and then see predominant elements is under balas and phalas.
I don't have that. My screen doesn't look like that.
Oh no, so you can't, well, look on tables. Maybe you have a different way of saying it. Maybe
I have edit charts, reports, classical reference, options, print, research. That's what I have.
Under tables or under balas and phalas? I
don't have that table. I should take a picture of that. I don't even have that screen here.
Oh, maybe if I send you this picture, you could send it over to April at Parashwa and ask her, is another label? Maybe they call it different, something different, right? So let me just take a screenshot right now, and I'll send this. I'll send it to everybody if you want. Okay, so there's a screenshot. Does anyone else want that so that when you get Parashwas, you know how to find it? Yeah? Okay, yeah, I'll send it to everybody.
And then I don't have, that's amazing. I don't even have that same thing.
I'll just do Molly's quick and we'll just check for more confluence. Balas, phalas, where are you? There. Okay, so Molly's a lot of air. A lot of vata. So interesting. You have more kapha than pitta. So you're a vata kapha girl with not so much pitta. Isn't that interesting? The lowest of your points is fire. Yes, we need more Agni. Remember, I was saying that I felt that about you sitting at the table one day. We need to light you up. Yes. Okay, so that is huge. So doing your vata pacifying modalities, you know how to do that. Abhyanga, just keep yourself grounded, and maybe some Trikatu. You know what to do. Let me see if I can pull up one other person for confluence. Candy or Renee. Let's do Renee. Renee, did I already do yours? I feel like I did yours. Are you still with me, Renee? Or did she leave? Oh no, there you are. Yeah.
I'm talking to a muted computer. Yeah, you did me. I found how to find it on my parashas, but I don't remember how I found it.
Okay, so I'll send you all that. So Gowrie wanted that. So here it is, predominant elements under tables. And yeah, I remember now.
My fire is dismal.
I know. Oh my goodness. We just have to give you some ginger tea every day or something. Some chai. I've been making beautiful chai with clove and cinnamon and black pepper and fresh ginger and some star anise, those little star things. What else did I? Oh, and some vanilla powder, organic. It's been so good. And I gotta watch out because I'm on fire. So I'm not the kind of girl that should have chai every day. So I do put some goat milk in it though to cool it down. But that's something you could do, Renee G. And all the things that you know how to kindle Agni. With Deepan. Like maybe some Trikatu and just black pepper on everything. And get one of those amethyst mats. I meant to tell was it Candy about the amethyst map? The bio-infrared map. It's a great thing to have in the winter for people who don't have a lot of fire. Okay, so I have that. So it's on my website under sacredstonehealing.com. If you want, you get a $100 discount for being having a practitioner license. And that's not my rule. That's just the Biomat's rule. But you can get that through me if you want. I love mine. Okay, so let's see. I was going to do one more.
Karen G.
Yeah.
Do you mind doing mine? I'm just curious.
Sure. So did I do yours, Candy, already? Candy, I think we did. And then I'll do Gowrie's.
Yes, you did mine Monday night on the call.
Oh, that's right. And you needed a lot of fire too. You didn't have a lot of fire. You were very kapha.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Kapha right here. Earth and water. Okay. So let's do Gowrie G. Trainer. I always forget that. Whatever. Anything will do. Okay, what is your birthday? December 9th.
Oh, you don't have that? December 9th, 1952.
1952. And where and when?
5:06 p.m. Let's do that one.
And where? Oh, it was somewhere far away.
Germany.
Yeah, let's do that. You know what he said to me, Dr. Duda? Love saying his name. Germany. Dr. Duda said that my beautiful swatch Jupiter retrograde in the 12th house can't even be activated. I can't even use its beautiful power unless I move away from Boston, the Boston area. I need to be overseas somewhere like Europe or California for my beautiful Jupiter to actually serve me. And that was so disheartening because that means I have to move away from my daughter. But maybe someday. And then I also learned something else about retrograde planets, that they're unresolved karma from past lives, which is interesting. Retro, unresolved. Okay, Gowrie, what city in Germany?
Passau, P-A-S-S-A-U.
A-U, okay. And that is accurate. So it's 1706. I have December 9th, 1952 in Germany, Passau. Okay. Let's look at your predominant elements. So a lot of fire, a lot of water, like me, Gowrie G. And earth, though. Look at you with that strong earth. You are like, she just doesn't sleep, this woman. She just keeps going. She's like the ever-ready bunny.
But it's interesting because you kept saying you picked up kapha in me every time you did my pulse, remember?
Yes, and you don't look kapha at all. You're the little skinny, tiny, mini little thing, like a little fairy floating around. And then all of a sudden you'll do something that's just like lift a whole car or something. Like, that strength is hidden in you, but there it is right there. It's the earth is right under the fire, and the water. So you're very watery, emotional, interesting. I don't know about this.
That, did you?
Well, no, I didn't expect all the water, but you're very feeling, so that can be why, very emotional. But this, the nodes are placed in an addictive place in Ashlesha. Are you sure this is you? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not supposed to know, but we'll talk about this another time. We'll probably get into the depth of it. But there's a lot of things that are accurate on this. But I have always felt tridoshic.
Okay. Well, that's pretty tridoshic right here that I'm looking at. There, you saw my fire was at the top, right under the D of predominant elements. Doesn't get any higher. There's not a lot of balance there. Yours is pretty even, Steven. Pretty steady Eddie.
But if you go to, it may be too much information, but if you go to research and then you pull up the yogas, I actually have a yoga that will push the fire dosha or the pitta dosha so out of balance. Any diseases I get are related to pitta.
Okay, yeah, maybe. Well, you've got, Mercury with the sun. So your Lagnesha sits with the hottest star in the sky, the sun, so you could really be more pitta than anything. But I don't feel this is your chart because you're royal. And usually when I meet a king, they have a royal planet in the Kendra. Like, I have not seen that not happen. I match it all the time, and you are royal, so there's something missing here. But maybe we're close with the elements because it's probably off just a little bit. Okay, so let's move on. Let's go to well, that KP Krishnamurti thing, we can see from here. I might do that. I might just do that. Let's just do KP Krishnamurti 10th house aspects. So where are we? Let's do Grahas. We'll do Krishnamurti Grahas. Yeah. Okay, so this is what I spent doing the whole week, this Krishnamurti KP significators and the Grahas, and you see all the houses that these Grahas activate down here with my mouse, and you can find the sublords of all the houses here, and the 10th house sublord is here, and that's Gauri. So the 10th house sublord for Gauri would be Rahu. And then what we do with Gauri is take Rahu and figure out where it is. And it's sitting in the 8th house in Capricorn. So we would go to the 10th, 8th house. So the 8th house sublord is Ketu. And so we go to the Ketu nakshatra of Aslesha. So Aslesha is governing your career, Gauriji. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it has a lot to do with medicines and homeopathy and that.
It's the snake. It's the great healer.
But you know what? I came up with finding that differently on mine. That whole thing that you pulled up. I went to print, and then I came down to Krishnamurti, and the whole chart came up.
Oh, yeah. You know what I meant to do? Forgive me. I didn't put this on the Krishnamurti chart, so I'm going to change that now.
So it looks like this.
Ugh, hold on. Now I'm
I'm
back.
so sorry. I'm going to get off.
No. Don't you worry. I think it's just a matter of click on this button. Ah, wrong button. Maybe this button.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Sorry.
I don't know which button I should do. This is crazy. Oh my
Just get out and no, just get out and don't correct it. So you don't want to save it and just do someone else, please.
Oh, I got it. It's a 2x2er. I just have to do like random guesses with it. So here's your Krishnamurti chart. So let me go back to the 10th house, Rahu. These aren't going to change. So Rahu, and then we go where, oh wait. This is Krishnamurti chart. Okay, it does change a little. So then Rahu goes to your 11th house. So it's your 11th house cusp lord is Moon. Moon. Okay, so Moon Chitra is your career. So I don't know. I still don't feel like it's your chart, but Chitra, does that make sense? That would be in your career? Not sure about that. So that's why I don't know that this is your chart. Okay, so 10th house, we'll do it again. Rahu, then we go to Rahu. Rahu sits in the 11th house. So we go to the 11th house cusp lord, which, nakshatra of the Rahu planet. In that, did I just do that right? What did I just do? I think my mind just got blown. Hold on a minute.
Karen, may I ask you a question?
Just a second, I just disconnected a thought, and I think I lost myself. Before you asked me a question, I get lost again. Hold on, so the 10th house is Rahu, and then we go to where Rahu sits. Now that we're in the KP chart, it's sitting in the 11th house, and we go to the 11th house cusp lord, and we go to the moon. That's right. So the moon nakshatra is Chitra, and that's what governs your career, Gauri. Okay, yes, I got it clear, Renee. Go ready for a question.
You answered my question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had to think that through. So that's it. We don't look at the Star Lord because that's not what we're looking at.
We look at the sublord of the 10th.
Yeah, sublord of the 10th is Rahu. You can do it on your phone if you just. Oh, I'll do this first. 10th.
Well, and then I find where that planet is and what that planet's nakshatra is in the regular chart.
Well, the steps are, I think I wrote them in the email too. So the steps go, find the sublord of the 10th house. So that's
Okay.
Rahu. Where does Rahu sit? Rahu sits in the 9th house, which is in the 11th zodiac sign, which is Aquarius. And we go to the 11th house, cusp, and that sublord is moon. So we go to her nakshatra of the moon, and her moon nakshatra is Chitra.
Nita, Chitra in the Krishna-Herti chart.
It is moon is in Chitra in the Krishna, and your moon is not in Chitra in your other chart.
No, it is not.
Yeah, see, they change the degrees according to the ascendant, 9.18. Your ascendant 9.18. So the most effective point in each house is 9.18. That's the beginning of your houses, whereas in the regular Jyotish that you know of, it begins at 1 and goes to 30 degrees. Very confusing.
That's a totally different chart.
Oh my gosh, this is my
In
Mars went
fact,
to the
Moon
8th
is
house.
Swa in the 4th house.
Yeah, so it's basically the same time and same chart and same everything. They just moved the actual cusps of your houses.
I
So
get that part. That I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. So my world went upside down for a week when I was looking at this KP chart.
And mine is looking at this northern chart.
I know. I had to learn the southern. I had to do Gauri's southern chart all week, and I really was about to give up because I'm learning a new system on a new chart. And I didn't even get to use my North Indian system. I just didn't. I was lost for the first 2 days, and I felt so depressed. I just want to go home. But I stayed through it, sat in the back, and just took notes and did the best I could. And by the end, met a lot of friends, and we all sat and tutored each other. And I still have my notes to put together, but I did feel like it was really well worth going. So, anyways, even though it changed my chart entirely, I still go with my regular chart. I'll switch back and forth to get different information. Like I like the marriage things, the 9, the 7, 9, 11. And in general, you look at the 7th house cusp lord for general marriage, happiness, and bliss. And I did like this career nakshatra thing. And then he gave interesting things about how to rectify, and I'll share that with you another time. It has to do with the father, the 1st house, and the 9th house, which has been really accurate. But this so 7th house cusp lord for you, Gary, is Jupiter. So the 7th house cusp lord Jupiter gives you a great marriage, gives you great marriage juju, if this is your chart. Because you got house 11 and 7, 10, 12 isn't so good, but children, 10 is okay. There's career, the marriage, the husband may have to put up with your career, but you do have 7 and 11, so that you have some good marriage juju there. Okay, I don't have that. You're very lucky. 7 and 11 is there, so you could find that out through looking at your 7th house cusp lord Jupiter. Okay, now we can go to each person, if you don't mind. I'd like to know, but what's everybody's career? Like, what is your career path? Are you on the right career path? So do you want to all go to your 10th house lord on either your phone app? I'll do it with the phone app and give you the directions. So we open your chart. Did you put your chart in first? Then you open birth chart. Okay, I've got my daughter's chart here. And then you go to menu, scroll down to the KP chart, and then go back to menu. Right, KP chart, just to make sure you've got the right thing, KP chart. And then you go to house position. So house position, hers is in house 10, her sublord is Jupiter. Interesting, just like mama. And then we go to Jupiter. Where does Jupiter sit in her chart? And in her chart, Jupiter sits in the sixth house. And then we go back to menu, go back to KP house position, and go to the 6th sublord, which is Jupiter again. Oh my God, this is my daughter. Jupiter twice, just like her mama, and she's doing exactly what I'm doing, massage therapy. So, well, at least I did that most of my life. So Jupiter governs her. Now I'm going to go to her nakshatra. So we go to the Jupiter nakshatra. So go back to menu and scroll down to nakshatras. Where is that? Planetary house analysis. I think that's where it is. No, that's not it. Just give me a second. Planetary positions. Here it is. Okay, so go to planetary position because that'll give you the nakshatras of the planets. So her Jupiter nakshatra is Visakha. So it's not the same exact nakshatra as me. Mine is Uttra Bhadrapada. Hers is Visakha. So we could read Visakha on this chart and see if that fits her. But bartenders, alcohol, liquor, that is so depressing. Okay, I don't want to see that. But, you know, I'm going to tell you that she does love all that stuff. She's, you know, her best friend's a bartender and they hang out. So, okay, let me get over this. Manual labor is massage, fashion and models, being an actress. So, oh my God, you should see her in front of the camera. I've never seen anybody who knows how to take a photograph and get in the right pose and just hit that camera. She is, you know, amazing. She should be a fashion model. All professions involving use of speech like TV, radio. Okay, well, she's a singer. So she sings when she's bored. She opens up her computer and sings to herself and records it and then listens to it again and critiques it. And she'll do this all day, all day. That's her thing. I'll never forget, I was in Costa Rica and she was bored. I was teaching all day. My class in Costa Rica, she came with me because she was like 16, bored. And I found her in a yoga studio singing and dancing in front of her computer laptop. She was doing this all day. It was so cute and she was recording it, critiquing it. So that is so spot on. And politicians, and she is more political than I ever imagined, my own daughter. I'm so not political. She really has an opinion. Marching band, sports person, she loves sports. All right, so, and I don't love sports. So cults, ideological fanatics, religious fundamentalists, oh God. Professional agitators. Really? There's such a thing as a professional agitator? Okay, well, that could be her. Soldiers, dancers. She did dance a lot. She still loves to dance. Critic, yes. She's always got that opinion. Customs, immigration, officials, policing jobs, guards, militant, revolutionaries, politicians, sex therapists, tax collectors, CPAs, insurance adjusters. She's really good with money. She can manage the money, let me tell you. Insurance, okay, bill collector, business management, criminal lawyers, organizers of large groups, group leaders. Okay, that's Vishaka. That's my daughter. It's the first time I read that through. Okay, and does anyone else have Vishaka? Did you find your sublord? And raise your hand. Anyone else? No? Oh, okay. Then I was hoping I was making somebody else happy as well. Do you want to tell me who has found their sublord of the 10th of their career? You want me to read it?
Karen, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I'm having trouble with the very last step, finding the nakshatra. I have my sublord, but
you're on.
I'm on the I Knew Astrology.
Yes. Okay. So then you go to after you get on the planetary position, or right? You got
the
that?
house position.
House position. Yeah. Then you got your 10th house sublord.
Yes.
You've memorized that planet. Now you're going to go to your chart and look for where the planet sits. That planet sits in whatever house that is, right? And Jyotish is the 6th house. Close out of the chart, go back, and then click on the 6th house lord. Where is the the 6th house is KP house position 6th house. And we go to her 6th house sublord, Jupiter again.
Yes.
So where does Jupiter sit? So we go close out of this menu and go back up, scroll up to the top, planetary positions, and then on the left side it will say planet. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay. Then you go down to Jupiter, because her sublord was Jupiter twice, actually. And you go whatever yours is. What is yours?
Jupiter.
Oh, so then you would look at the Jupiter, just the same. It's not going to be the Shaka because your lunar mansion is in something else. What did you get for Jupiter?
So is that the column, because it says planet and then longitude and then star?
Yeah. Oh, that what you're asking is where do you find
Yeah,
the nakshatra?
I couldn't find the nakshatra.
Okay, so the nakshatra is right next to it. So you'll see it says planet, longitude, star pada. They call it a star pada. Pada, just another word for house. So that is your nakshatra.
So it's just the one that says star.
Yeah, star.
I have
star pada.
MRIG.
MRIG.
Yes.
Migashira. Okay, you should be the boss of whatever you do. So let's look it up. I'm reading it right from, I'm asking permission if I can send this out because he has something on it that says copyright. So I need to hear from him and then I can send it. I think he'll say yes, but Migashira.
Can you spell that?
It'll be easier for me to spell it by looking at it. Yes, here it is. MRIGASIRA.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And here it is. This is artists of all types, your profession. Singers, musicians, painters, poets, linguistics, romantic novelists, writers, thinkers, seekers, dealers of earth-related products, those involved in textile, garment industry, fashion designers, trendsetters, veterinarians, all professions dealing with animals and pets, salesperson of all kinds, advertising agencies, administrator, landscapers, farmers, gardeners, forestry workers, real estate developers, map makers, navigators, travelers, explorers, psychics, astrologer, teacher, those especially dealing with beginners, craftsperson, clerks, commentators, forest ranger, collectors, researchers. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
You're so welcome. Aren't you lucky you have astrologer in there? Yeah, you're doing the right thing. So I like to just read everybody's career thing, but you know what? I just realized my chai tea has been on my stove, and I hope it didn't burn or bubble over. Give me a second. Okay, I burned my chai. Here is the bottom of my pan all burnt. You can see it, but it's all black. But this is for you all to know, if you don't know how to read the pulse or do a chart, just look at the bottom of your client's pans, and if they're burned, they're high pitta. That is something that Dr. Ladd taught. Let me put this down. And that is so accurate with me. You saw how much fire I had. If you look at the bottom of all my pans in my cabinet, I just burn things very easily. It's just something that I do. Okay, so moving on from high pitta burned chai, moving on to Molly's nakshatra. Which one is yours?
I think she just went to go get a snack.
Oh, okay, cool. Does somebody else want me to look at their nakshatra?
Karen, can I walk through mine?
Sure, let's do it.
Is it the KP number 1? Is that the chart I should be using?
Krishnamurti chart right here.
Yeah, may I share my screen so I can show you what I wound up with?
Sure, this is your Krishnamurti chart, but share your screen, yeah.
So you just have to unshare yours, I think.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I don't know how I got it like this. So if you want to know, I apologize. I can't tell you. So this is KP1. Can you see this?
Yeah.
So if I go down here, the sublord of the 10th is Venus. So
Yes.
I go over to Venus, which is now in the 8th.
Yes.
And it's in Gemini. So then I go to the 8th, and my sublord is the Sun.
Yes.
Now, is it the Sun?
Yes. So the sun, the Rohini.
It's in Rohini. Okay, that's fine. And then I found it, which it says agriculture, farming, all kinds of jobs related with growing, handling, and processing of food, sex therapist, jeweler, beautician, fashion, and cosmetic industry worker.
Well, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, and there's more: herbalist, entertainment, musician, finance. So I wouldn't mind that. But okay, I just want to make sure I was doing it correctly.
Yes, you did that really well. It's not that easy, is it? You have to kind of go in these steps that aren't so easy. Well, I'm looking for your Rohini. Did you get that information from a chart like this? Maybe Simon sent it to you?
No, what I did was I found the KP chart on my, like I said, I don't know how I found it. I just did the drop-down menu and I found the Krishnamurti chart.
Okay.
And then I have that chart. I don't know if you could see, it's right here. Over here, and then my birth chart's in the middle, because if I do my birth chart, it winds up being Jupiter.
Right. No, you got to do your Krishnamurti chart.
Okay.
And that would be on the phone app. If you do it, you click on Krishnamurti chart and then do your sublords that way.
I don't have the phone app.
Oh, but you don't need it. You got a good thing there.
Okay. I just want to make sure I did it correctly.
You did. It's not an easy thing, but you did it. I'm looking for Rohini, and for some reason, did you say Ravati? No, Rohini.
Rohini is Mercury and Sun is in the 7th here in Taurus.
Oh, here it is. It's on the middle. It was on a hard place to find. So I'll read to you what they write here. You know, what you read sounds like you too, but here's a Rohini. Farming, agriculture of all types, all professions relating with growing, processing, and handling food. Botanists, herbalists, artists, musicians, entertainment, and leisure industries, fashion, cosmetic industry, beautician, sex therapist, jewelry, gemstone dealer, interior decorator, banker, financer, transportation business, tourism industry, textile industry, shipping industry, food production, packaging, distribution industry, all professions connected with aquatic production and liquids of all types, fine wines, luxuries, fashion designers, dancing, restaurant, hotel business, arts, flowers, speech therapist, orator, financial advisor, bankist, botanist, landscaper. Wow, that's a lot. Okay. Does that resonate with you?
Everything except for the sex therapy. I don't know about that.
No, that's kind of weird, isn't it? I think that we read that in a couple of them. Like, why would they add that in? That's not like a standard tradition of occupation. That just feels sketchy. But whatever. Maybe these are guys writing it, and they all think everyone should be sex therapists. I don't know.
I think everything except for like interior design. I don't know that I'm good about that.
No? Okay, well, I guess you can't have it all. You can't be all of them. But most of them apply to you, huh?
Yeah, a bunch of them. Not every single one, though.
Okay, good to know. Anyone else want to share their nakshatra? Molly? Yeah.
Okay, sorry, it takes me forever to hit that mute button. Okay, so I think I did it wrong the first time. I'm going to redo it. So I go down to KP house position, and H10, I've got, I can't read, Mercury is my sublord. So then on my birth chart, Mercury is sitting Swa. Oh, wait, but we have to look at the KP chart.
You
We
get it, yeah. But are you on a phone app?
Yeah, phone app.
Okay, yeah, you can do that on a phone app.
So KP chart, Mercury is the same. Actually, it's still in the 7th house, which for Pisces rising is sign 6, which I haven't memorized yet. So 6 is Virgo, which is still Mercury. It's still swapped. So Mercury's sitting in there with Mercury, but then I have to go down to house position again to H6, right?
Sun, so the sun is the sublord of the 6th house, and it's sitting in the
No,
8th.
not the sun.
So wait a minute.
The
So
moon.
10th. Am I on your right chart?
You're on my birth chart. Yeah, that's me.
Okay,
Yeah.
then is this the
Oh, I
KP
think
version?
I
No,
think that's my regular one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there's your KP chart. Okay, now we go to the 10th house, which is Mercury sublord. We go to, where is Mercury? Sitting in the 7th house. So we go to the 7th house sublord, and it's Mercury. Yes.
7th house. Yay.
Yay. Yes, Mercury is in Chitra.
Oh, I did do it right then. Okay, so I looked up Chitra, and what I got on Chitra so far for, what is it called? Things you do with your life that you get paid for? Careers. Artisans, craftsmen, architects, designers, sculptors, fashion designers. I've always wanted to make clothes. I don't know why, I just think they're pretty. Cosmetic industry, I can't do makeup, save my life. I watch RuPaul too much. Models, nope. Fashion industry, nope. Photographers, nope. Graphic artists, I can't draw. Surgeons, you don't want me doing that. Plastic surgeons, I don't agree with that. I don't know what a compare is. Broadcasters, orators, yeah, I talk too much. Professions demanding versatility and special skills. Okay. Interior designers, jewelry makers. I did do jewelry when I was in 7th grade. Business experts. No, I'm not an expert. I run my business, but I was told I would make $143,000 a year if I would stop giving away free stuff.
Oh.
What people do with that kind of money. I make 19. It's fine. Feng Shui or Vastu experts. I would love to learn more Vastu, like our other Abby. Invention, creation of machinery, builders. Yes, I could build a house from scratch. I love it. Painters, landscapers. I have no green thumbs. I don't know. The only things that live are at the spa because I'm always there. Screenplay writers. I do like writing. Art directors. I can't do art. Novelists. I would love to write. Set and production designers. No, that's too much work. Theater artists. Nah. Performers. For like 5 people, I can be a performer. Any more and I'll just be like, stage managers. Musicians with originality. Does that mean bad? Because I can do that. Jazz musicians, advertising industry, herbalists, the last one on the list. That's what I'm going for next. I want my master's in therapeutic herbalism. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. So I don't know, 50% accurate. You think? He took that from Parashva because you just read that right from what he gave me in the handout. So there's no secrets.
Well, Parashva took it from a link online. So somebody is stealing from somebody else.
Right, so that's where they got it from him because he wrote this.
They're not giving him any credit up here.
I mean, he has 4 generations of Jyotishis, and I don't think he had to go steal anything.
No, I think the online people stole it from him and didn't give him any credit. But the link is in the chat if anybody wants to see it all.
Okay, wow. So maybe there's some little differences because in this it says herbologist, advertising industry, gemologist, jewelry, art, and painter. Does it have that in yours?
Yeah, just roundabout, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, then I can probably just send this over to you.
Can I just add something? If you
Sure.
go right to that chart there where Mercury is, click onto Chitra. Click on.
Oh, it just comes right. I've never done that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, but I can't figure out how you do it because you're using Apple. I realize I'm using a different program. That's why mine doesn't match yours.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe that's why. Okay. All right. Interesting. So this is not the exact thing. Is this what you got? Did you get this? I've never seen the art of engraving. This is not what you just read to me, Molly. Chitra. So this is different.
Can you read that? Because I can't see it.
Oh, sure. Oh, wait. Are you saying you got that on the phone app?
Oh God, no. I got it from online.
Oh, you went online. Okay. So, okay, then it says the lords are Buddha and Shukra. Chitra is very beautiful to look at. Vishwakarma is the great artist and artificer to the gods, the lord of the practical arts and applied aesthetics. The knowledge and capacity to paint, the gift of narration and well-ordered conversation. Interesting, you do have that. From Chitra is derived the painter, specialist in paints, the artist. You painted your own place, didn't you?
Well, yeah, but it's just, oh yeah, and I did a wall mural, but I don't think I can paint.
Well, I don't even paint wall. I mean, I have to hire someone to do that. I tried and I get it all over my hair and all over me, and I'm so horrible at painting. But you do yours pretty good. I saw your mural. It's beautiful. The artist, the musician, the skillful surgeon, the imaginative writer. You write amazing. You should be a poet. Her emails to me are poetry, I'll tell you. I can't even believe how good of a writer you are. This specialist in aromatic herbs, dreamer of intricate patterns, the art of construction, the art of engraving, embroidery, frame making, and everything that constitutes an artistic complexion, from fine embroidery to Taj Mahal. And on the other hand, industrial engineering and skill and organization of machinery and plants. Everything is caused or influenced by Chitra. And anthropomorphically, the forehead of Kalapurush. I don't know what that means. So,
Well, I do have a big forehead. I like to say I have a 5-head.
yeah.
And I got this vein that pops out because I laugh too much. I'm going to die one day because this vein is I'm going to laugh too hard. It's going to be like, what did we do? Oh, we killed her with a joke.
I know that vein you're talking about. It does get big when you get all like giddy and laughing. Yeah. Beautiful eyes. Okay, Garland. Well, this isn't about the way you look. This is really looking up. Above all this, it shows more like your moon. Wait. Oh, we are looking at Mercury, and how come it says it's moon? You have the moon.
Okay, that's okay. That's all right. It would, because the chart is based on the moon. The moon determines the dasha and the chandra lagna, but it's still correct in describing the nakshatra for Chitra. Doesn't mean necessarily. In other words, if you're going around the chart and anybody wants to understand let's say if you went to Saturn and you wanted to look up Aslesha, it would explain some aspects of Aslesha. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the moon.
That's very confusing, but thank you for trying to explain. But if you look at this, I don't know that it totally covers it, because when you click on the moon, which is, Uttara Falguni is her moon nakshatra. It doesn't say your nakshatra is the moon. It just says the name of the nakshatra and then the dasha ruler and then the attributes. And we go out of here and we go and click on Chitra in Mercury, and it says right up front, you have the moon in Chitra. That's got to be a typo.
No, if I can't see, wait a minute.
It's a typo because her Mercury is in Chitra, not her moon. So
where is her moon in her original birth chart, though? In
her original, I'd have to pull it, take out Krishnamurti, change it here, and now her moon is in Chitra. And her Mercury is in Chitra. Oh my goodness. So the nakshatras change with the KP astrology. I did not know that. I thought the nakshatra stayed with you all day. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you, Gary. That's very interesting. So well, now you all know that. If you get this software and you turn it over to the Krishnamurti chart, it's going to change your nakshatra. Okay. Moving on. Anybody else want to go over their 10th house?
Can we do mine?
Yeah, is that Abby?
Yeah, it's Abby.
Abby, yeah.
I believe I'm Uttara Ashada, and from the little bit that I've read of it, I'm hoping that I calculated it right, and it seems to make sense. So let's go with that.
Okay, Uttara
Ashada.
Okay, let's pull it up. Uttara. Jesta. Did you use the phone?
I used the phone, yeah, and I was trying to listen when people were doing theirs to redo it to kind of double check and everything. So I think it's right.
Okay, so preacher, priest, counselor, astrologer, judges, lawyers, governments, officials, military professions, equine, horses, professions, pioneers, explorers, wrestlers, sword fighters, other combat sports, athletes, elephant trainers, business executives, organizers, defense industry, authority figures of all types, teachers, guards, high-class servants, bird watchers. How is that a career? Why do they put that in there? Oh, that's so funny. Okay, a bird watcher. Someday I'm going to grow up and be a bird watcher. And enthusiasts. Oh, a bird watcher and enthusiast. Bodyguards, security professionals, rangers, hunters, construction worker, cricketers. Oh my gosh. You know those people that, I saw cricket. You know how to play cricket? They're saying that could be an industry. Oh my gosh. Okay, holistic physician. Oh, Abby, holistic physician. There you go. Government jobs, social work, military work, presidents, leaders, economists, librarians. Does that fit you?
I think so. I mean, thematically, I'm seeing the whole, so there's kind of counselor and psychology. There's also a lot of things that are pretty physically involved, and I am pretty athletic and I like to move my body. So I'm seeing that. And then there also seems to be a little bit of something I see lawyer, government, politician, and I am into politics and pretty opinionated. So those are kind of the three themes I'm seeing that seem to make sense.
Okay, and as far as your career,
yeah. Well, I'm going back to school for occupational therapy, so it's kind of it's counseling, but it's also physical because you're helping. It's kind of part physical therapy, part social work. So it seems to fit, and then hopefully incorporating the Ayurveda eventually. So with the holistic piece.
Yeah, hopefully. I think you always will, even
Yeah.
if it's, on the side or something. But what is it that you were majoring in again?
So I'm trying to go back to school for occupational therapy. There's so many prerequisites to take. So I already have my undergrad. I got that 6 years ago, but I'm kind of in the midst of taking all these cumbersome classes so that I can apply to school for OT. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Occupational therapy is pretty good. All right. So that answers that. Anyone else who want me to look at theirs? If you do, everybody, Abby, Candy, Holly, Wendy, do you want to look at yours?
Well, yes. I've been having a little bit of problems here because I can't get my light to work and I don't have the app. So I always appreciate, Renee, thank you so much. I think she got, Renee, maybe you can shed some light. She was helping me while we were talking.
Okay, I might open mine and see if I can find it. Did you find it? Renee? Wendy.
Yeah, but it would be great to double check my work. I got Purva Ashada.
Okay. So, Wendy, what's your last name? Egan?
Yeah, Egan, E-G-A-N.
Egan. Where is that? Here it is. So why aren't you here? We did your chart before, right? Wendy? When was it under Wendy Egan?
Yeah, W-Y-N.
It's not here. That's just so bizarre. I'm going to look at another spot, though. Hold on. File manager. Sometimes it ends up here. Wendy. No. Okay, well, we're going to put one in. That's so weird. I'm Sometimes they just evaporate. What's your birthday?
8/18/53.
8/18/1953. What time?
6:27 a.m.
Where?
Honolulu, Hawaii.
Hawaii would be H. There. Okay, August 18th, 1953 at 6:27 in Honolulu, Hawaii, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Let's change this to Krishnamurti.
I can't get that.
All right, so let's look at your 10th house, sublord, Saturn. And then we go to Saturn and it's sitting in the second house. We go to the second house and we go over to the sublord, it's Jupiter. So the nakshatra for Jupiter is Mrigashira. I think we read that one already. Let's just check it. Mrigashira. Here it is. So it is artists of all types, singers, musicians, painters, poets, linguistics, romantic novelists, writers, thinkers, seekers, dealers in the earth-related products, those involved in textile, garment industry, fashion designer, trendsetter, vegetarian, all professions dealing with animals as pets, salesperson of all kinds, advertising agencies, administrators, landscapers, farmers, gardeners, forestry workers, real estate developers, map makers and navigators, travelers, explorers, psychics, astrologers, teachers, especially those dealing with beginners, a craft person, clerk, commentator, forest ranger, collector, and researcher. Does that make sense?
Some of it, yeah. Not the first part, but the more with the earth and, yeah, doing, or more the earth things. None of the creative stuff there in the beginning, but the other stuff, that's good.
Okay, yeah. And then we could just do the old-fashioned way, too. It's just go to the 10th house and look at, that planet that's there or that owns it and go to that nakshatra. That would be the way that I learned from Penny and a couple other teachers. So let me get out of this Krishnamurti thing.
Okay.
Krishnamurti is gone. Okay, so now I'm going to save that. And did we ever look at your preponderance of the elements?
No, thank you. That would be great.
Yeah, I'm sure you want to know. At least I would. Let's see. Where did it go? Predominant elements. Fire. Mostly fire. Pitta lady.
Yeah. That's about right.
Yeah, and Kapha is right behind you, neck and neck.
Pushes against it. My Pitta always pushes against my Kapha. Yeah, they're at each other all the time. So it's good. That's very interesting how that comes out.
Isn't that? You knew this, and just to see it is so cool. I just love this little thing. Okay, good. So let's close out of that.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. Well, actually, I'm not going to close out. I have so many charts here that I didn't save. Ugh, cancel, and shrink that because I have to save all of them. Okay, so I want to go over some Bhava Vichara. We've already done the Graha Vichara, right? Oh, we did Bhava Vichara. No, we didn't. We did Graha Vichara. I just had a moment there where wait a minute. We have not done Bhava Vichara. So we're looking at the house conditions. Vichara means condition. And Graha meaning planet conditions, Graha Vichara, or Bhava meaning house conditions. So let's pull up that little handout that I gave you all on an email today. Let me pull up my screen where I put that. Here it is. Okay, so you can see my screen too. All right. So any questions about what we've talked about so far? I don't want to go to the next subject if there's still confusion on. You know all how to get your your 10th house. So you're going to have customers, clients that want to know their career, their life purpose. This is a great thing for you to learn. So any questions on that? Everyone's good. Okay. All right then. And stop me now. It's the time to ask a question before I go on. I'm thinking we're all good though. All right, so let's read this. The chart is a play. The planets are the actors. I love that. This is the stage of life. Who's the villain? Who's the good guy? Where's the grace? Where's the light coming in? Where are the obstructions? Help them bring in more light. This is what we do as Jyotishis. Jyotish is a sadhana. Only through grace can we see. Ahimsa, Jyotish. I love that. So it does mean science, art, and magic, which is what avidya is. The definition of vidya is science, art, and magic. So these are the Sanskrit terminology, kind of list of the meanings of and how they apply to being a Jyotish. So Vitarka, I'm going to do my best not to mutilate these words, but Vitarka is allowing the mind to reflect on the chart. So we need to have Vitarka. The mind has to be expansive. The mind has to be pure, which means we shouldn't be involved in gossip and watching the news and negativity. We need to have pure mind so we can reflect on someone's chart. And Vikara is active contemplation, analysis of the condition of what it is we're looking at. Is it a graha condition or a bhava condition or even a yoga, any kind of analysis is a vichara. Okay, so vichara gna, aha, free of doubt. I love that. When you finally get the condition, you're absolutely certain and it resonates. That is what that means. And then you can use that J and turn it to a G, gna or jna, the true seer, a light, the light of spirit. So this comes from the root of jnana. You've heard of jnana, jnana yogi, jnana yoga, I should say. You can know what is your yoga by looking at the highest degree in your chart. That is your Atma Karaka. And many astrologers have Mercury as their Atma Karaka, which means they're a Jnani Yogini or Yogi. It's the intellect. So using the intellect on a chart and then bringing it into consciousness. Not necessarily, if you don't have that, don't think, oh, I'm not an astrologer. You know, that's fine. Your Mercury could just be in the 8th house of astrology, or you could have a significant planet in the 8th house, or Mercury aspects the 8th house, because that's how the mind bends in more matters of the mystical, magical realms, the realms of Vidya. So moving on, we have Bhava, Vikara, and Bhava is a state or a condition, and sort of like the house is that spot or state. I don't know why it's also conditioned, but the Bhavesa is the lord of any house. The Bhava Karaka is the inherent lord of the house, like ninth house Jupiter for everyone. I don't know why I wrote that. This gives confluence and layers for more information. It's secondary to the Bhavesa. So I do not know why I wrote that. Hold on a second. Oh yeah, I know why I wrote that, because the actual Karaka of the 9th house is Jupiter. So it doesn't mean that Jupiter is the lord of your 9th house. It's a Karaka for the 9th house. Of the natural chart, it just is. Okay, that's why I wrote that. So we are looking at Bhava Karaka Tattva, which gives rise to the nature of the Bhava, which gives rise to positive or negative Bhava conditions. The Bhavesha is the lord of the Bhava or temporal Karaka. Karaka is another word for significator. And these are the 3 things we look at: nature, condition, and location. And what house has the lord of the chart gone to is extremely important. Okay, so If the graha owns a positive house and is a temporal benefic, and if it owns a negative house, it can be a temporal malefic. Does everyone understand that? Should I repeat that? If a graha owns a positive house, it is a temporal benefic. If it owns a negative house, it's a temporal malefic. So that is fascinating to kind of know what planets in your house are temporal malefics and which are temporal benefics. So the house can become malefic or benefic. It's so interesting, isn't it? So how unique that is. And then I just like to write little things like death of a parent or loss of property can be seen in the third house. I've never heard of that before, but I wrote that down because that was something I learned from Penny. Okay, so and now I understand why, basically, why that's so, using Bhavat Bhavam. So if we do methods of determining the strength of a house, a planet is strong if it's in its own house. We all know that Swa planets are strong. And the Badesha aspects its own house. That will give strength to that house as well, because if that aspects into its own house, then we're good. Okay, so the principles of Bhava Vichara. A natural benefic will promote the desirable meaning of the bhavas they are located in and aspect. A natural benefic promotes the desirable meanings of a bhava and when they are associated with or aspecting the Lord of that bhava. Any questions on that? Should we look at a chart to see how that could work out? A natural benefic will promote the desirable meaning of the bhava they are located in and aspect. A natural benefic promotes the desirable meanings of the bhava when they are associated with or aspecting the Lord of that bhava. And this is stuff you might already know. It's just good to see it. I may have already said it in many different words. When there is a link between the 3rd and the 12th, it gives gifts in the arts. Does anyone have a link between the 3rd house and the 12th house? Like the owner of the 3rd house goes to the 12th house, or the owner of the 12th house goes to the 3rd house? If anyone has that in their chart, that would be interesting to know if you have a gift in the arts. Raise your hand if you have that. I don't have it at all. And I'm not really an artist anyways, but okay, so, well, you know what? I should check. You know, my daughter has a gift in the arts. Who else is an artist in here? Renee, you're an artist, aren't you? Wouldn't you have that? Renee G?
I have a connection between the 2nd house and the 12th house.
Oh no, not the 3rd and the 12th, but the 2nd.
I know, that's why I'm laughing.
Go figure. Well, it can't all be right. You know, I don't know. I like to just check the work. So let me make sure she's out of Krishnamurti. Okay, so there's the 3rd and the 12th, right? So the 3rd is owned by Jupiter, and it does nothing to the 12th. So nah, I don't really see anything with my daughter, and she is an artist. So I don't know if I'm going to buy that story. If anyone else has a chart in front of them that they know is an artist and has this yoga, I'd like to hear from you. Okay, well, that's what was told to me. And you can't believe everything you're told. I'd like to see that actually play out somewhere. Okay, so natural benefic grahas promote the desirable meanings of the karakas they are associated with or aspecting. Okay, I'm going to keep going because I feel like this is pretty basic stuff that we've already talked about. You've never heard of the word papagraha. So basically, papa meaning malefic. It's just another word for undesirable, unfavorable planet. So a papagraha obstructs the desirable meaning and the promotion. Maybe I wrote this wrong. Papagrahas obstruct the desirable meaning and promote the undesirable meaning of the bhava when they are associated or aspecting the Lord of that bhava. So you know houses have many meanings, and if there's a papagraha in the bhava, that makes the bhava meanings, the darker aspects of it come out. It ignites the darker side. Like the 8th house is one of those that can be, oh, wonderful marital bond, amazing sex. It can be, you know, sort of offbeat art and the mysteries of life and death. The Veda, Ayurveda can be in there. Yoga. It can be that all those beautiful house meanings of the 8th. But then the house meanings of the 8th can be dark, like disappearance, death, scandals, drama. Let's just face it, death. So there's some real darkness in the 8th house. And if you have a papagraha sitting in the 8th house, it ignites the, you know, less desirable meanings of the house. So that helps with chart interpretation. Does anyone have an example that they want to share in their chart or have a question about that? Anyone have a papagraha in a bhava and have seen that the darker aspects of that house play out in your life?
I've got a whole bunch of papagrahas in my 8th house. I've got the Sun, Rahu, Mars, Uranus, though we don't count that one. Only proctologists do. Then I've got the moon in there, which is shining its little light, but it's combust. So everything is a papagraha in my 8th house. And I wouldn't really call it negative though. Just like I love Saturn, I've grown to really understand and accept it's frightening, but it sounds nuts. I see dead people. So when, not like I see them, and I know that's a movie line, but when people come in for massages, sometimes they've lost someone and I will see them again and again. Just like if you close your eyes and think of a cupcake, you can see the cupcake. Now I want a cupcake. The same thing, only it's really strong. And sometimes I'll have to say something, you know, it's so strong and you just have to say, hey, there's a guy here, he's got water dripping on his feet, he says this, this, and this. And then every single time that it's been so strong that I've said something, the person has cried or laughed or both and let everything go, told me their story. And so it's helpful. It's horrible and frightening, it can be, but it's also really helpful for them. I don't know, I just don't know why I see them. The whole family does this. They call it a gift. It's not really a gift. You can't see lottery numbers. You see dead people. I wouldn't call it a gift. But it is a gift for other people. So, yeah, papagrahas. They're fun. Like Saturn. Now nobody's going to like Saturn now that I gave that story. Sorry again.
No, thank you for sharing your papagraha story. And that's beautiful. That's really beautiful because someone might take that gift and, you know, the papagraha they might think, oh my God, I see dead people. They're haunting me. They're chasing me. And I don't see any purpose to this except torture. And instead, this, you know, the darker aspect of the 8th house through the papagrahas, yes, there are definitely dead people coming, but you see it, and that's all perspective. You see it as, oh my goodness, they're here to give a message and to help release. They want to be seen, and I want to be the bringer of whatever good news I can through the other side. You know, yeah. So they are on the other side. They are dead, but they are choosing to come to you because they know that you will say something that will bring happiness to your client. So. Well, that is such, like, I didn't expect it to be such a beautiful sharing of how an unfavorable thing has been turned into something totally cathartic. Like, who the hell wants dead people following them, right? But if you can see it with those eyes, like, oh, they've come for a reason. They all, you know, have a purpose, and this is something that I can do to help people, then sure. It's almost like the agora. You have agoric tendencies, Molly. The agora just loves these things,
It's so true. I always call myself a little American agora. I feel like I'm taking on a great title, so I shouldn't say that, but I love everything that Dr. Svoboda does, because he studies with his agora, and every time I see him or just look in his eyes, all of a sudden you can see life and death and life. It's my favorite mudra to do too. I do it every day. I love it. You called it.
Beautiful. That's so cool. We have a real agora in our presence, people. If anyone is an agora, it's Molly. And if you haven't read the book, well, it's not just about dead people, but agoras. I think actually Gowrie might be an agora too, if you don't mind me saying, Gowrie. They're very gifted people, and they can use both the dark and the light and combine them in a unique way, whereas some people don't know how to deal with the dark forces, and they're just so in the light. They're doing a completely one-sided thing, but the agora has this beautiful way of mixing the two and finding the beauty in the negative and the negative in the beauty. So if you read Robert Svoboda's The Left-Hand Side of God, it's a book on what is an agora. The Left-Hand Side of God. It's one of the best books I've ever read, actually, in the world of Ayurveda. It just opened my eyes immensely. I dated somebody who was an agora. He read the book too, and he wasn't into Ayurveda at all. He was at the end of our relationship because he read every book in my bookshelf. And he was, watching me and saying, wow, you really walk your talk. You're not just a bunch of book smarts rattling off what you read. He watched me daily and decided that since through example I was living this, he was going to read my books because there had to be something to it because I was living it. And that Robert Svoboda Agora book definitely fit him. He actually killed someone by accident even. An agora kills, is about, not death or murder, but death in general isn't about negativity. It can be birth, the ending of a cycle of life and birth. And so that agora sees the fullness of it, where it doesn't just mean morbidity. It can mean, it's just a passing into the next dimension, right? So it can, the essence of death can just be forefront in a favorable or unfavorable way in the world or the eyes of an agora. Anyways, just an aside, just because I really analyzed his life. He did die when he was 33. He was one of my soulmates, and he comes to me a lot still. But he killed somebody by accident in Canada, and it was he was attacked. His attackers, two of them, tried to mug him and kill him in an alleyway, and he was a king, and he could take on 10 guys with one hand. So they picked the wrong guy to mug. So with one fell swoop, he punched a guy in self-defense, and he died. And then Bear fled. I called him Bear because he looked like a bear. He fled Canada and came to Newport, and I met him. And he shared that with me. He feels so badly about it. He really does. But, when you think about the life of an agora, those are things that happen to agoras. Death-like experience, death, morbidity, and all that stuff. So the 8th house, yes, if there's a papagraha in it, it's going to bring out the more unfavorable death-like things. And in other Marika houses, like the 2nd house and the 7th house too, can bring about stuff like that, not just the 8th. Because Marika means death. So the 2nd house and the 7th house are Marika houses as well. Okay, so Ollie, have you had other things besides dead people come to you, other death-like things that have followed you?
So they don't follow me. Jupiter ascendant, I've decided, must be the reason why in Jyotish, their reason for it. But I always say that there's something wiser than me that pulls me, and it gets me out of situations. I was about to go off on somebody. I was upset about something else, and I was going to take it out on this one person. And right at that second, I got a piece of information immediately handed to me that from the other side, from someone that had passed away, immediately, right then, and it softened my heart and opened me up. So something better than me, wiser than me, bigger than me. I guess if this is just our little ahamkara, I'm thinking it must be like the universal consciousness keeping me alive and keeping me going. But I don't just get death. Funny things will happen. One day I was looking at my great-grandparents' buffet. I keep them with me. I keep the history. I keep the family, and I keep the stories going. It's what we do. We're Haudenosaunee. We're Onondaga. We're the fire keepers. We keep everything except pain. We let that go, and sorrow, all that stuff. But we keep the wisdom. And so I'm looking at the buffet, and I have this little baby book, and it's pink, and it closes, and it slides off the end and falls down. And you would think that I should scream because there's no wind, there's nothing open. It is a little startling, but I looked down, and immediately I said, oh, my sister is pregnant, and it's a girl. And she had my beautiful little niece. I called her that day. I said, you're pregnant, and it's a girl. And she said, God, I wish you would stop doing these things. And she's gorgeous, and she's a year younger than my second-born daughter. So I see birth. When one of my favorite grandmas, she's not a real grandma, but Families Who You Love, died, I saw her in a dream, and she came and talked to me. And in real life, what happened was I walked into my mother's room, and I was just a little 2-year-old standing at the end of her bed, and I said, Mommy, Grandma Jeanette just died. And she said, oh, honey, you had a bad dream, go back to bed. And then the next day, we got the phone call, and she had passed away. But what I remember is there was an old-fashioned telephone on the wall, and it rang, and my mother answered it because I couldn't answer it. And Grandma Jeanette just appeared and said, I'm going now. I have to go, but I love you so much. I can't give you chocolate pudding from underneath the kitchen sink anymore where we hold it. You'll have to get your own chocolate pudding now.
Oh, sad.
So, and then I see people before they're born sometimes. But I shut all this down the second that I saw someone's death before it happened, because I didn't want to be in any way responsible for it. I always try not to take responsibility for really bad things. I want to do no harm. So I haven't been using it at all. Even talking about it, I get a little trepidatious. But less so now because of your class and everything that we're going through and everyone sharing everything. You guys are making me more brave. And now I have clients coming in. I don't know how they're finding me. You can't even Google me to find me. I'm so on the dark web, and it's on purpose. And they come in and ask me for things now. Oh, well, what do you see about such and such? I don't list psychic as one of my professions. I'm like, I do yoga and massage and Ayurveda. What would you like? And they're asking me now, you know, this happened and that happened. And so I'm finally opening up. And immediately they get defensive when you call something right away. Like when you look at a man and he says, oh, I have so much stress and anxiety. I think it's like a spiritual thing. What do you see? And you tell him, you're living 2 lives, and that's really stressful. And he says, I don't have another family. And I have to explain it. That's not the only reason you would have stress. You can also be walking 2 worlds. Those of us who do between life and death or other things, it's kind of stressful sometimes. And for him, he said, oh, yeah, my parents are from India. And then my kids are all, you know, so Americanized, and I'm constantly going back and forth between the 2 and trying to find common ground. That's living 2 separate lives. He has to be one way with his parents, the dutiful son, telling his kids not to be American, stop watching TV, stop speaking English. He has to be the other way with his kids. Well, Grandma and Grandpa are old-fashioned. So now they're asking me for stuff, and it's a little nerve-wracking because I feel like I have a cabinet in my heart and I have to open it up and say, okay, guys, here you go. Here's a portion of my heart, and here's another little portion. And it's not my heart. I know it's all coming from source, but it's still nerve-wracking. Okay, I'm talking too much. Sorry.
Yes. Okay. No, it was interesting, but I want to stick with how do you work with the papagrahas in your 8th house, and how do they play out unfavorably? And I don't know that you were a perfect example of it, because you're taking all the negative 8th house.
Yeah, I forgot. People always manipulate me. That's a big obstacle, because I always give so much. And so often I'm told, oh, well, Molly, you know, since you're doing this, can you also, like my landlord situation years ago, I had to keep putting my foot down and say no and keep moving locations until I found a good landlord. Or somebody tried to pay me $18 an hour to program full time for them, and out the gate I should be getting at least 80 or 100, which were other offers, and I just looked at them funny and thought, and it wasn't like a healing artist or something, somebody who, they're not part of that world, they don't understand this is, you know, and they don't do it all the time, so they wouldn't know.
So you're saying, is your 8th house playing out like that? Is by people coming in and undermining your, is that what you mean, that the papagrahas are turning into
yes, they'll take too much. Like I have a seat, a bamboo, miracle bamboo seat that I love because it's great for sciatic pain, and I hand it out and I let people try it and they bring it back and they buy their own. This one guy just kept it. I said, so how is the seat working? He said, oh, it's great, thanks. I'm going to keep using it. And just like I just lost my seat. It's teaching me that I have to stand up and say no. So I say no all the time now. But so I do see the obstacle of it, but it's also teaching me, well, what else can I do without? You can keep a seat. Right. You need money? You can keep the money. You
okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. We could just keep going on and on with that. I just don't want it to take the whole class on the 8th house, but I'm impressed with all of your learning of how to transmute 8th house unfavorable situations into something beautiful. You have a gift. So that's amazing. So what I would like to keep going on is how could a good house all of a sudden turn into a bad house if you have just because you have a malefic in it? You know, an example, just a simple example of someone's not a Dushtan Baba, but a regular old house. How could anyone tell me, for an example, if they had a malefic sitting in a Trikona or a Kama house, how has that played out unfavorably for you? Because that does make the house undesirable. So does anyone have a story they can share about a papagraha now that we know what that word means? Anybody want to share? No? Okay. So I have a papagraha in the 9th house, and right now Mars is natural functional benefic, and it's sitting in the 9th house, which is Trikona house, and all my life it's sitting there in this beautiful house of the guru, and it has played out in a way that it's about Dharma. It's the house of Dharma. So if I am not following my Dharma, Mars will sting me and make sure that I get back on track. So it has played out unfavorably where I get policed a lot, policed by boards and regulating institutes and bodies and you know, in other words, I can't go off my I can't go play like the rest of the world. I see a lot of people who I'm sure their Dharma is XYZ, but they take a year off in a sabbatical and they do something else and it's just fine. But, or they even get lost innocently and they start, you know, learning a subject that, you know, they're a healer and they're taking, you know, a real estate course. And they don't get any repercussion or, you know, door slamming in their faces. But with me having a malefic in a Trikona house, specifically the 9th house of Dharma, which is one of the best houses in the chart, it almost turns it into a Dushtan house simply because Mars is sitting there where I am always policed by regulating bodies and boards and insurance companies and the IRS and anybody that wants to regulate me, they get to regulate. I get like, you do it right. You must do the right thing. The right thing is Dharma. And with that, you know, someone could say, oh, that's great. That's wonderful that you're always, you know, on track. But it's not an easy way to live. I'll say that. It's not easy that I can't just slack off a little bit. So that is an example. I'm trying to find a way to show you what this means, because just because it's not a Dushtan house doesn't mean that house is going to bring you favorable experiences. If there's a papagraha sitting in it, that house turns into something like a Dushtan Baba. Does anyone else have one that they could share? about their chart that is a beautiful house, like the 11th house is divine grace. If you have K2 in there,
I do. I have K2 in
oh,
there.
interesting. Maybe you
Yeah.
can share.
Well, I'm trying to think. So 11th would be the house of gains. Is that right?
Yeah, wish fulfillments and people just
Yeah.
giving you money.
Right. Well, I mean, I got fired from my job in October in a very twisted, sort of dramatic way. I mean, I guess that would be more 10th house or 6th because that's more job, right?
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think what else. I think I remember, is there something else? I remember when you were doing a reading for me, like something with the 11th and K2 with like friends, like weird friends or something. Is that right?
Yeah, you could have really offbeat friends.
I do have offbeat friends, which isn't a bad thing. But
Right.
yeah, it has, so nothing horrible other than that, that getting fired, but it was a job I didn't like. So ultimately it was a blessing, but who knows? I'm only 28. So maybe there'll be horrible things to come with my K2 in the 11th.
I'm thinking K2 can also bring you spiritual friends or friends that have secrets.
I have a lot of friends who are very into sort of, new agey spiritual things. That's for sure. Yeah.
And it can also take away friends.
Yes, that happens. That happens.
We all lose friends every now and then, but this could sweep out, it might feel like a whole sweeping out of friends all at once or something really overwhelming that could happen for you. Or an enemy friend, a friend that just turns into the tail of the serpent and she just stings you or something. Yeah, that's a challenging house to have Papagraha in. So it's really ideal to have Papagrahas in Dushtan houses, because then you keep the bad guys in the bad houses and everything's nice and clean. So you get to have full favorable influences of the best houses, which we all want. We don't want like the bad guys, sleeping or squatting in a beautiful mansion or hanging out on the doorsteps of the White House, or just like keep the bad guys in the ghetto. Isn't that terrible to say that? Oh my God. But we want to keep everybody organized and not have peppered around some reprobate in a beautiful neighborhood or in a gorgeous home causing trouble in a place that they don't belong. So ideally a chart will have their the nodes in Bava. I'm losing it. What was it? Dushtan Bhavas. Except I just thought about the 2 and the 8, the 2-8 aspect. Yeah, Rahu maybe or Ketu in the 8th, but then having the other node, whatever it is, Ketu or Rahu, however it's reversed in the 2nd, that gives addiction. So it's not always great because you can't always have Bhavas at a 1-7 that are Dushtan. So like the 6th and the 12th are the 1-7 connection, the 7 away from each other connection, the access. The 6-12 axis is a Dushtan axis where the nodes kind of belong and would be ideal there because they're troublemakers anyway, so keep them in a trouble house. Okay, any questions on that? People getting that? Okay, so let's keep on moving along. Papagraha, now you're familiar with that word. You know what? I'm feeling I had such a salty dinner. I had this pasta with cheesy whatever, and I had to get a drink. I should have had a drink here, but my mouth is drying out, so give me 1 minute. Okay, all right, I thought of something else while I was in the kitchen about my ninth house and the Papa Graha sitting there, the Mars in the ninth house. As soon as Mars, we have Saturn transiting my ninth house. It's transiting Sagittarius right now. Saturn is in there, and it is, isn't it? Isn't it in there? I think it's in there. Gary, is Saturn still in Sagittarius?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, I'm starting to lose it. Okay, so with Saturn, another malefic transiting my ninth house that has a Papagraha in it, it caused immediately the Board of Education decided to just fine-tooth comb everything. And it's been horrible ever since Mars transited over. Because so when Mars and Saturn conjoin, it's war. So I've got a war in my ninth house going on. And that's what has pushed me to sell my school, because the Board of Education has been harassing me to no end. You have no idea how hard this has been. They even scanned Google to look for where I was selling my school. They found a website that I had forgotten I had posted my school for sale, and they didn't like something I wrote in there, some little word that they didn't like. And they demanded I take it down. And they went to my Facebook page, and they found 2 Facebook pages that said the wrong language, or their languaging is so, it's impossible to adhere to what their rule. I don't even know half these rules they make up and where I'm supposed to find them. And it's just not an easy thing. But what they really wanted to do was stick it to me, because I didn't want to comply with the GI Bill, which is the Veterans Affairs Office. I'm no longer keeping the school open, and they kept asking me for records, and I don't have those records anymore because I'm no longer running the school. So it was a punishing behavior. They decided to check every possible social media and marketing site on the planet and try to pick at me and force me to do certain things, jump through hoops, or else. So only Saturn crossing over my ninth house with another Papagraha Mars sitting there natally would have caused such a thing. So that is the perfect example of what I'm going through right now with the board. Even now, I'm selling the school right now. Hopefully, probably not a lot of money, but there's a girl I'm thinking about changing ownerships, and I have to go through a lot of litigious board stuff, which Saturn will make sure I do it all right, right down to the letter of the law. Okay, let's keep on trucking. Let's see. I don't want to bore you too much because you can read all this on your own. I don't want to read it verbatim. Okay, there's a word here called confluence definition. Do you know what the word confluence means? Did I explain that to you before? Because that is a really important word when you're doing chart interpretation. You can't just have one thing point to one thing. Like you can't just say, oh, well, Jupiter in the first house means you're protected, you're all set. No, you have to have some more confluence or some more support, other things, other planets and alignments and situations in the chart that would give rise to, yeah, well, this person's very protected. We could say on the first layer, yes, this person is protected, Jupiter in the first house. But, oh my goodness, look at this thing over here, the 12th house, you know, they're cursed. Or the nodes are in the 2-8 position, they're probably a drug addict. So they're a protected drug addict. Okay, so you need to have, like, you know, you can't just make a blanket statement on the first level of something that you see. It needs to unravel, and the whole story needs to be told in a way that if you make a statement, you have at least 3 different things, at least 3 that back up your prediction. Okay, so moving on. There's some things I just don't think are worth reading out loud, because you can just go home and read this. Oh, and I love these little tips that I put in there. These are notes that I took from Penny's class. And these, you know, I spliced them in with some other notes that I took from other people's classes. So it's just sort of a whole mixture conglomeration. So some things like tips I threw in about grandmother counting 7 houses away from the 4th house. You know, now that I'm looking at that, that doesn't make any sense. I would say 4 away from the 4th house, not 7. I don't know why she wrote that, or somebody said that. I'm looking at Bhavat Bhavam, and it should be 4 away from the 4th house for the grandmother. So I'm going to have to challenge that. Okay, and then 4 houses away is the home of whatever house you're counting to from. So like the 12th house is the ashram and the home of the guru. Isn't that interesting? Which is 4 houses away from the 9th, which is, I told you 9th house is guru, but the home of a guru is the actual ashram. If you count 4 houses away from the 9th, you come to the 12th. Okay, well, let's keep going. I love that whole Bhavat Bhavam thing. Bhavat Bhavam is a beautiful way of counting using significations. Each house has a significator. So if you want to know, for example, who's the sibling of your husband, you would count, since the house 3 is sibling, represents the significator of siblings, you would always use the number 3 to learn about siblings of whoever you're looking at in the chart. Say you're looking at your husband, you'd go to your spousal chart, the 7th house, and you count 3 away, and you could look at, in your chart, 3 houses away from your 7th would describe your husband's siblings. Love that. Another example, let me think. Enemies. So who are your mother's enemies? So your mother is in the 4th house. That is the significator for mother. So we know that the 6th house is the house of enemies. So you count 6 houses away from your mother, from the 4th house, right? And then that house, whatever's in that house, whoever owns that house, is an enemy to your mother. So I hope you understand that that's the system of Bhavat Bhavam, and you could just keep doing that with everything. Even I was doing Bhavat Bhavam with the Dharma of my eyes. So this is interesting. This is for you to look at as well in your chart. I was reading in one of these astrology books that people who have Saturn in the 10th house of Capricorn see spirits. Oh, Molly, do you have that? Do you have Saturn in your 10th house or aspecting your 10th?
Saturn, oh wait, aspecting 1, 2, 3. And what's the other one for Saturn? 3 and something. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, Saturn aspects my Swan Mercury in the 7th house and K2 in my 2nd. We're not going to talk about K2 in my 2nd.
Okay. Well, somehow my Parashva's light just went black or gray.
Because we're talking about K2 in my 2nd. We got to stop talking about it.
Molly, yours is blanked out.
I'm telling you, that's crazy. We
That
can't
was
talk about it.
crazy.
I will not say it again. We'll talk about something else. Saturn.
Oh, you have Saturn in a house owned by the moon in the 5th. Oh my gosh, there's the mother curse right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Remember you said about mother's enemies? I was just typing this into the chat but never sent it because I talk too much. But see, her enemies are Venus, love. And the last time that I spoke with her, I just kept telling her how much I love her and the things I love about her and the things I love about everyone that she hates, which is everybody. And the funniest thing happened. Usually she would be all in control and either being physically violent or manipulative or just doing really creepy pedophile kind of things. But instead, she was frustrated by the fact that I was being so loving. And she got up and didn't know what to do with her hands. And and she couldn't even speak. It shut her down to be, and for the last several years, I've been nothing but loving. And after being that loving, I cut all contact.
Wow. That was the best thing to do, I think, to cut the contact.
Yeah, love is her enemy. It's absolutely true what you said.
Interesting. Wow, thank you for sharing that. Okay, well, that was affirmation that from Mother, 6 houses away. Yeah, so looking at the dharma of your eyes, you see or you hear spirits?
Sorry, getting it unmuted is hard for me.
See them? You see what they look
I don't know how
like?
to say it. I can see them, not as clearly as I see you. See it like you see them. Okay, hold on, like this. I get real quiet. And then I can feel the presence of the people that are actually here, like my cat behind me, my kids spread through the house. And I can feel that strange presence. I think it's the guy who used to live here who died in the driveway next door. He's always coming in this house. I'm always telling him, you know you don't live here anymore. And
So
now
you see them, because I'm trying to point out the dharma of the eyes. And so if you're using your third eye, I'm not sure if that's the same thing.
I don't know what it is, but there's a female over here that goes with one of you guys who's been thinking about her so often, so hard, so often, wondering what she's doing, because she just came over here, but she's not physically in this environment. She's with you guys, because as soon as I cover up the computer, she kind of fades. So it's like seeing, but they also talk. And sometimes it's very loud, and sometimes it's whispers, and I have to hear it. I have to get real quiet.
Interesting.
I can like just know the right button to push on me and get it to come out easy, but it's not. You have to get so quiet.
So it sounds like you're hearing the spirits more than seeing.
Yeah, in my mind, right here. Right here.
Okay, yeah. Let's
I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, it's probably a combination of hearing and seeing. So I guess what I'm looking at is your second house and everybody's second house are the eyes. And what is the dharma of the eyes? What are your eyes' purpose? So what is it? What is your destiny for your eyes? Dharma, however you want to describe dharma. So we go 9 away, because the 9th house is the house of dharma. So we go 9 away from her eyes, and we come to the 10th house, which is ruled by Jupiter. Her Jupiter is in a Dushtan, a mini Dushtan of brothers and sisters, but it's with a retrograde Jupiter. So that means past life. So that can mean, someone passed on, or, another, not in this life, a past life. So they're not alive. Or it could mean that, I lost my train of thought. Anyways, I was just going to say something, and
Could be that they're dead.
I forget what that was. I don't remember what I was going to say. Anyway, so it's connected to your eyes are connected to Jupiter somehow, and it's about unresolved past life things. Then if you go to your 3rd house of ears, because the 3rd house represents ears, what's the dharma of your ears? What are you destined to hear? What is the purpose of your ears? We go 9 away, and you come to your 11th house, and this is where your 11th house is owned by Saturn. Interesting, in Capricorn, and it's aspected by Saturn. So you would hear dead people. This, according to this book, Saturn aspected or in the 10th can see or hear dead people. So I'm seeing it that it's more like your inner ears, or there's something with your ears that are seeing this. Anyway, so it's interesting if you do count 9. It doesn't have to be Molly. I'm just taking Molly for an example. Oh, and I'm giving you my example. I do have my 10th house has Saturn in it, so I can see the spirits. I don't see a lot of them, but I see them occasionally. And wow, I don't know why I was saying this. I forget. Does anyone remember where I was going with that? 10th house, Bhavat Bhavam, our dharma of the eyes. Yeah, I don't know why I was telling you that. So I guess I'll skip the whole thing. If anyone else can remember where I was going with it. What a foggy day. I'm having a foggy day. Okay, so we're going to keep on looking at these tips. The ashram, the guru. Okay, so what I would like to do is let you all read the rest of this on your own, and we can look at this together if you have questions next Sunday. But there's really, no point in me boring you to death with reading stuff you can read already. Having Venus in the 12th house is just really not good, by the way. People who think Venus in the 7th house, did I say 12th? I meant 7th house, is a very unlucky situation. So what else did I write here? This is a very good book I recommend getting, Phaladipika. It is one of the most ancient Jyotish texts that is, one of those things you should have in your bookshelf. And this Yoga Vichara is interesting as well. I'll have you read that. Identification, condition, position, confluence. And 2 types of Jyotish analysis, the static analysis and the dynamic analysis. And the Vimshotari. Okay, and this is something I'm still memorizing. K2, 7 years, Venus, 20 years, Sun, 6 years. These are things you all should know about. Eventually memorize. Mercury is 12, Saturn is 19, Jupiter is 16. Okay, so moving on. And then I wrote this at the end, how to discover your truest career nakshatra. Okay, so that was what I was going to read with you tonight. But we have 15 minutes, so I figured I'd like to leave the last 15 minutes for questions and answers, Q&A about your chart and any recent discoveries about your chart, anything exciting that you've had epiphanies on. I had one. I'll just tell you quickly and then I'll give you the stage. How long have I been doing Jyotish? But I finally just figured out in my own chart, because I spend most of the time reading everybody else's chart, not my own. But I have a foreign sister that I love. And she's from Puerto Rico. She's Puerto Rican, and we adopted her when she was 5. And I have a blood sister as well. And I have Rahu, which governs foreigners, sitting in my house of siblings. So I thought that was really, really, really cool. I never even saw it before. Never thought about my sister Lisa as being a foreigner. She's my sister. But then, looking at it through more skeptical, more lenses of, cerebral lenses and analytical lenses, technically, yes, I would look at that chart and say, well, you must have some kind of a foreign sibling or trouble with siblings. Could be that too. And I do have trouble with my real sister. She and I haven't gotten along, but maybe I already shared this with you, that I have a foreign sister, and I'm in a Rahu Bhukti right now. So she is coming forefront in my life more than she has ever come in before. She's calling me all the time. We have become closer. She's making time to be with me. It's just the Rahu Bhukti is really going to be interesting. So your Mahadasha is the first big, Maha meaning big, Dasha that you're in, and that wherever that planet is in your chart, whatever house it's in, it's going to light that field of living up in your life. And then your Bhukti, your sub-period, wherever that planet is, whatever house that's sitting in, will light that house up as well. And you'll notice these changes will come into your life. Like, where was Lisa last year? She was busy, but all of a sudden Lisa's coming into my life as soon as Rahu entered my world, as soon as I entered Rahu, I guess. Just like 3 weeks ago, or whatever that was, 4 weeks, I forget. So, okay, that's my sharing. Does anyone want to share an epiphany they have had in their chart or that they've learned?
I could share a couple. So one is that, so I'm Virgo ascendant, so Mercury ruled. So Virgo is, very analytical and kind of, right, like isn't the Virgin part of Virgo too, I think? But Mars aspects my first house. So I was thinking the other day how on one hand, I'm very cerebral and kind of practical and analytical, but then I also can be very energetic and impulsive. And it's sort of this, it kind of throws people off because some people will only see one side of that of me. And so I'll sort of perseverate on something and really overthink something. But then when push comes to shove, like I'm pretty good at like getting something done. I can make pretty jarring kind of like sudden decisions if I want to. So I was like, oh, that's because it's like that weird Mars influence that's on my Virgo, Mercury ascendant, I was thinking. So that was, yeah.
Because of Mars?
Yeah, I think so.
Is it
Mars,
in your first house?
no, but it looks into it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Eight away.
So Mars does look into your first house.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it makes you like an Aries, like an impulsive Aries and a get her done kind of girl.
Exactly. But there's like that Virgo energy too, where I'm very like kind of cerebral and particular. And so it's like a weird combination of the two.
That is
Yeah.
a unique situation.
Yeah. And I've thrown friends off sometimes. People will be confused by, oh, but I thought you were overthinking this. And now all of a sudden you've made a decision. I'm like, I know. It's like, that's from Mars, I guess, so.
That's cool insight that you've observed. I totally see how that plays out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes you unique. Virgo, yeah. Wow, yeah, you really are, what's the word? Can't think of the word, but, an enigma. An enigma, when you look at Abby, I don't know, half of you haven't actually seen her in person, but she's a tiny little thing,
I'm small. I'm like 5 feet tall.
Yeah, 5 feet and just tiny, compact, and and Gowrie, kind of very similar enigma where you don't see Gowrie's strength, but then you have this strength too, Abby, that comes across where there's some kapha in you that was shocking.
Yeah, totally. I'm pretty physically strong, and I like weightlifting. I like to lift weights. I like to like increase my strength.
That is just amazing. By looking at you, would never think that you would do any weightlifting because you're so small. But your teeth are a giveaway. Big white kapha. Yeah, the big white tongue. Yeah, so this hidden kapha in both you and Gowrie. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That was interesting insight. I love these epiphanies. I still get them, and that's what keeps me stimulated to learn more about Jyotish and self-discovery through the chart. Gowrie, how has being an Agora played out in your life?
I had to mute there. I think it's my 8th house.
Yeah. Have you had death-like situations occur a lot?
I'm very intuitive, so I actually know when there's going to be passings. Pretty close on the timing. I get like signs before it's going to happen. Oftentimes with a clock, actually.
Interesting.
But getting back to you and the client that you saw, in my practice of many, many years, both in a traditional hospital and as an Ayurvedic practitioner, I do see when someone has another presence in them that's housing them, when there's breaks in the astral, and they actually have a walk-in. There's more than one spirit in them.
Attachment, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like when you were discussing your client, I see that and I recognize it. And on another note, something you had said earlier that's really significant is how the dark is very attracted to the light. And I know that you know what I'm talking about, and probably anyone here in the group. I have had experiences with very dark people who are very attracted to me, and I'm aware they're around. Is anybody else having that experience, or is it just me?
Oh, I think we probably all have had it, one time in our life, at least. So what do you mean?
It's pretty, I would really like to know, you know, maybe a past life situation where I may have been in the company of maybe mob people, dark people, people that are very criminally involved in but even deeper, like family interrelated. And it's not in my chart per se. I don't have that karma in my chart. I know who my relatives and my lineage is, and I know what their work was, but I must have had a past life with someone who did very dark work.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Did you look at your 5th house of past life?
No, maybe you want to help me with that. I have Saturn there. It's exalted, and and 5th house is also counseling.
Yeah. Well, if you
And
said
I've done a lot of counseling for years. When I realized it now, it's like 30 years of my life. So, but since it has a Parvatana yoga with my 8th house, which is Capricorn, and I have Venus and Mars there, and Rahu. So Venus in Capricorn, you know, the planet that rules my 5th house goes to my 8th house, and the planet that, and my Mars, rather my Saturn in the 8th house, Saturn rules the 8th house. My natal Saturn is in the 5th house, dispositor Venus.
oh, the one chart that's grayed out is yours.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, that's so frustrating. Maybe I'm not supposed to read that. See how I have everybody's chart and I click on this G up here for Gowrie and it's gray. You know, honestly, Gowrie, I don't feel it's your chart. Can I just say that, being honest?
We go through this a lot, except Mars in the 8th house
Like it's gray.
opposes my K2 in my 2nd house of lineage and family, and my brother committed suicide.
Oh, 2nd house. Well, brother wouldn't it be suicide in the 3rd house with brother?
Mars would be Karaka. Mars would be Karaka for brother in the 8th house. It opposes my K2 in my 2nd house of family lineage, but my moon is in my 3rd house of sibling. So that would go to the 9th house, and it's still ruled by Saturn. My 8th house is ruled by Saturn. For anyone that doesn't know, I don't know the time I was born. I've had several chart rectifications.
This is the chart I have. I don't know. Oh, this is the chart that I rectified. Okay,
Right.
I don't see Saturn in the 5th house. You have Moon in the 5th house, so it would be a mother curse. And there's your Jupiter, where you're a king, which is the exalted and protected. K2 would be in the 4th house, losing mother. Uranus, unexpected events with brother in the 3rd house. Mars and Venus have to be conjunct with you because you're the sexy 9 of clubs. This is a sexual union, the Mars and the Venus.
Not in this incarnation.
Yes, you are always very sexy. You know that even if you're 500 pounds, when Mars and Venus are conjoined in one house, men chase you down. It's like you have this sexual, whatever it is, juju that you emit. So with that conjunction with Rahu, oh my God, it's the passion conjunction. If I was going to say who would be a sexy 9 of clubs, it would be a Rahu, Mars, Venus conjunct. But I have this. Let's spend an hour together. This is Krishnamurti birth rectification. Let's finally get your birth chart rectified. Okay, so moving on. This feels like the right one to me, but Neptune in the 7th, hello. Saturn in the 7th, it's Digbala, but with Neptune there, causes a lot of deception. What else? We have Sun in the 8th. Mercury, your mind thinks, your mind, the intellect bends in fields of occult, fields of mystical, magical things. That's just how you think. And there's Sun in Jyesta. So that's number one, the number one planet, and that is Jyesta is the great entrepreneur, so you don't take orders. And then if you go to your predominant elements, you do have a lot of fire, and then earth is in there. And water is right up there with fire. Okay. And then moon in the 8th in Navamsha. This is the debilitated moon receiving Nichabanga. Anyway, so this is interesting. We just need to do chart rectification. Let me just do this real quick. So quickly, first layer of confluence and chart rectification. We look at house 1 and house 9, and we look to see if the Lord, the star Lord, and the sub Lord are the same. And we look at the first house, Venus, Saturn. Okay, remember that, Venus, Saturn. Then we go to the 9th house, K2, Saturn. You got 2 sub lords identical. That usually means it's the right chart, believe it or not. So yeah, so let's just. There's more layers to get through. There's a whole 5 pages that we can read, but that's the first layer that looks right so far. But then we can have it all blown on the 3rd or 2nd step or something. We'll play with that another time. Okay, anybody else want to share something? Because I think it's almost time, but I love to share epiphanies of how Jyotish has rocked your world for this week. Anybody? No, everybody's ready to go to sleep. It's rainy. It's like a rainy holiday night. And yeah, there's just drops of rain on my window. And it's not cold, but it's just rainy and warm. How about where you are? I know, Albie, yours is probably raining. And Renee is in Florida, so it's probably beautiful.
No, it's been stormy there.
It's stormy where you are, Gowrie?
No, well, stormy here. I think it's stormy by Renee.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
We're having a tropical storm, but this afternoon it's been dry. It'll get windy tonight.
It'll get windy tonight, yeah. Well, it doesn't look windy here, just rainy. At least it's not cold. And Molly's in Tennessee. What's it like there?
Oh my gosh, I'm not in Tennessee. Remember our first year together and you're like, oh, she says aloha a lot. Hey, she's in Hawaii. Molly, we're going to rent a Jeep and come down to your house. I'm like, sure. You're like, we'll go to the beach. I'm like, it's 3 hours away.
Where are you? I keep getting you mixed up. Tennessee, Virginia, Hawaii. What is it?
I am everywhere.
You
and
are.
May is coming up to Virginia. We're finally going to see each other in person.
Virginia.
Wait, in person?
What's that? It was Virginia. You're in Virginia. Why did I think Tennessee?
I don't know.
I
know people in Tennessee.
It's old people. But not you. You're not there. You're in Virginia. I am coming to Virginia to the Monroe Institute in December. I hope I see you then.
Oh my gosh. Well, you can stay here. I don't know where the Monroe Institute is, but you have free lodging.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where I am. Wait a minute. Oh, I don't know. I forget. I'm sorry. I'll find out because I keep getting Yogaville mixed up with where Monroe Institute is. But yeah, I want to see you. Maybe you could come there because it's a lake and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's about time I stick my head out and see other places in the world. Since you think I'm something else anyway, might as well go.
You may as well and meet some cool people and get on the train, or maybe I can stay an extra day and we can play or something.
Or maybe you could come to Yogaville with me when I get my IAYT and the last level of YA certification.
Oh my God. I can't afford that. It's $2,000 to go to the Monroe Institute. I don't know how I'm going to come up with that. So I don't think I can do Yogaville, but I know I'm going to do it. I'm going to manifest it. So we're at 8:59, and I don't want to take anyone's time, even though I love being with you girls. Is there anything else last minute before I sign off? Any questions? No? All right. Sweet dreams. Love you all. Bye.
Ladies, have a great night.